Does he even call himself that?
Oh, that cute kitten ruined the whole show.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is June 6th, 2020, episode 215. And this week, President Yeezy? I'm not your echo chamber. In fact, I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz. Hope you all had a fantastic fireworky weekend. And we're live.
More fireworks than expected this weekend, huh?
Yeah. All the cancellations didn't work. We'll get to some of that.
Yeah.
But we are live on the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, demonetized and definitely shut down halfway through.
Shadow banned,
all that good stuff. But we're live on Twitch, DLive, Facebook, Periscope, the Canary Cry Radio YouTube channel as well. So welcome, everybody.
Yes. Yeah, great to be back. It's been not exactly 1 week. It's been 5 days or something since our last show. Thank you guys for hanging in with us last week. We had a limited schedule, but I'm happy we did get a show in there. But Lord willing and the creek don't rise, we are back to our normal schedule, which will start today, Monday, then again on Wednesday and Friday. So make sure to tune in there, turn on your notifications, subscribe on your podcast app if you haven't done it yet. And Gonz, you do anything fun for 4th of July?
I went to the pool a lot, so a lot of...
went to the pool. You actually have an open public pool?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it didn't seem like anybody cared about the Ronas in my little neck of the woods. People just showed up at the pool,
that's
doing
surprising.
The cocktails and the hot dogs and the whole deal. So
California pool, you can't stop the pool party over there in California.
Yeah, nobody cared.
Very cool.
But it was pretty relaxing. Just hung out with family, and it was actually a good almost week off, other than last Wednesday. The wife took a week off, so was able to hang out and just take a break and not look at the news for a few days, which is kind of nice sometimes.
It's refreshing, too. But you know, your vacation's over, Gonz.
I know.
Back at the grind.
Back to the grind, and now we have President Yeezy possibly.
Yeah,
fantastic.
We'll talk about that. I had a pretty fun weekend. I went off the grid. I went full off the grid. Was
nice.
out at a friend's off the grid little homestead there. Decided to get away from the crowds, get away from the fireworks. That was pretty fun. Yeah, the pretty cool operation there. It re-inspired me to consider looking at doing some homesteading. The one problem is internet is hard to facilitate in a place like that.
You need those
it was cool.
Elon satellites, the Starlink, to beam you internet down.
There you go.
With your shorts.
The great conundrum will be I need Starlink to do the show and to talk about Elon Musk and how he's taking over the world. But yeah, it was fun overall. No fireworks though. I was far off. Nobody wanted to put off some fireworks in the woods. I ended up, a big portion of that group of friends that I was with are very hardcore liberals. And there was one moment that really made me cringe. For the most part, it's good conversation. I get to drop some truth bombs and kind of jujitsu some of the brainwashing that they've been going through, especially this year.
You hang out with normies.
I do. Yeah, I got normie friends. But there was one super cringe-worthy moment that I just have to share, and it just made me so sad for society. We were all sitting around a table. We had just barbecued up some 4th of July dinner, and having good conversations. And then someone who was maybe one of the more radical liberal people who were there, the conversation just devolved into each person had this person would point at each person going around the table and would ask each person, do you like Donald Trump? Do you like Donald Trump? Yeah, it was like an inquisition, dude. Wow. It was wild. And I got out of it. I thought about going into a whole thing and talking about how Donald Trump has been a catalyst for so much and just was what history needed, but I didn't feel like going into that whole conversation. But yeah, so it was very cringeworthy having to go person to person and have them pledge their allegiance against Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's a tough one, especially when you're trying to drop truth bombs. You know, there is a narrow path in the middle that people have forgotten about, but we try to toe that line as much as possible on this show. You know, Jesus said the path is narrow.
I think some good truth bombs got infiltrated, and it's all just based on data. All you got to do is bring the real data to people. Yeah. And none of this, I feel, I think, I heard a lot of that with this group of people. I would be like, the numbers show and this person's policy created this.
In your opinion, those numbers show.
And then they would say, I think. I'm like, it's not about what you think. I'm just giving you the data here, bro. And so it was a great time. And what a great way to celebrate the 4th of July in times like these than to drop some truth bombs on some normies.
Yeah, I noticed Shalom Girl on the YouTube chats said Antifa surrounded my car in Eugene, Oregon while police watched. My driver took down 5 of them.
What?
Shalom Girl, did you literally take out some Antifa people with your car?
Sounds like a newsworthy story there.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully take out meaning or took down meaning drove them off the street or something, not like drove over. That would not be good.
Yeah, no. Well, there we go. So, it was a good time all together. But we're back to work now. Oh, we're working today.
Oh yeah, and we'll get into some of the fireworks stuff, which were my neck of the woods. It was just insanity. But before we do, we always have to ritually. It's not really a ritual, but it's just something we do on this show, which is a Flippy update.
That's right.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Just a quick Flippy update for everybody. And for those who don't know, if you're new to the show, Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use it as a way to have a conversation about robotics and how they're sneaking into our lives and replacing us. We will be replaced eventually. And we are literally being replaced, Gons, right now, because on businessinsider.com, this article is titled SoftBank's baseball team in Japan replaced fans with robots in the stands as the season starts without crowds. That's right. This is your new normal, folks. No longer are you allowed to go to a baseball game, but instead the robots will go in your place. The article reads, the coronavirus has put most public events, including sports and concerts, on hold around the world. As many countries see declining cases and hospitalizations, public life is slowly starting to reopen. In Japan, which has had a low number of cases, the Nippon Professional Baseball League was allowed to start its delayed season in June. Fans aren't allowed to watch games in person until at least July 10th, so teams have been putting different symbols in the stands instead. For the SoftBank Hawks, owned by Japanese tech giant SoftBank, remember Pepper? Pepper Robot seems like the obvious choice. The robots wore team jerseys and looked like cheering fans. And we've got a nice picture there. And yes, that is Pepper, one of the more famous humanoid robots currently on the market, used for customer service. I believe there was a Pepper the robot working at the front desk at that Japanese hotel that was staffed entirely by robots. And so there you go. This is just the beginning of the replacement. The replacement begins. And the sad part is we're being replaced by robots in this case for acts of leisure. Isn't even not even taking jobs. Now they're taking our entertainment, our fun.
Our distractions are being taken over by robots.
Yes, that's right. Who needs people when you got robots to cheer your team on?
Now, are these robots programmed to cheer for the home team, or are they channeling humans?
You should really see them. They paint their bodies with the team colors,
They got
and
the
they
foam finger,
do the
the whole
worm.
deal.
Yeah, when the kiss cam turns on, then it gets real weird.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's robot fights. Man, the whole
Yeah.
deal.
They get one robot drinks a couple too many Coors Lights and kind of stumbles down the stairs. Oh, it's classic.
Is that what robots drink? Is Coors Lights?
Oh, heck yeah, brother.
Thought it was Corona. They drink Corona.
I do want to give a quick shout out to Storyteller 810 asking for a shout out because they switched from YouTube to Twitch.
All right.
They made the switch. That's very good job. YouTube doesn't like us anymore, so we're over here on Twitch. So Storyteller 810, good job for making the switch.
All right. Well, of course, 4th of July weekend. 4th of July fell on a Saturday, and I'm sure many of you guys were able to at least see some kind of firework extravaganza other than Basil, who went totally off grid.
Yeah.
And so you didn't see or hear any fireworks. That's pretty amazing.
Not a single firework. Somebody was shooting
incredible.
guns out in the woods, but it was definitely not fireworks. It sounded like somebody had a bump stock or something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, we do have we have a bunch of updates, but the firework thing will be the first one.
We interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
So, in my neck of the woods in Southern California, it was madness. You know, I think there's a reason why they started doing these centralized events where they, go to places, Disneyland or your local or your local park or whatever it is, to do these gatherings of fireworks, so that people don't just start setting off all these fireworks on their own, even though that happens every year, right? You got I always see the illegal fireworks stand driving by my neighborhood there. There's always one. it's like, oh, that doesn't look legal at all.
Does it have a big sign that says illegal fireworks? Come get the good stuff.
Yeah. So all these events were canceled, but then the people took it into their own hands here. And I'm showing some footage, and I'm sorry for people listening. But this is footage from KCAL 9 News. The lower third says illegal fireworks, and it's the sky cam, and it's just literally, it looks like a war zone of just fireworks going, hundreds of fireworks going off in all directions.
Across the entire city. It is incredible to watch. Actually, very inspiring. I liked it a lot.
It is, because of the whole thing, canceled the fireworks and and people were just like, no thanks. We still want our fireworks. But I would imagine the cartel.
What a glorious show of support for the country. You know?
Well, I think it's funny because yes, the support for the country on the surface, but also the support for the illegal cartel selling the illegal fireworks in Southern California. I'm sure they made.
Is that true? Is that a cartel operation?
I don't know if it's a truly cartel, but I know a lot of them come from Mexico. So
yeah, of course,
it's definitely it was a good year for those folks selling those illegal fireworks.
That's some good old anarchy that everybody can get behind. You cancel the fireworks show, we the people will put on our own fireworks show.
Freedom, which is and it's also in Southern California, the opposite effect, or I guess the centralized fireworks. This is San Diego. The city of San Diego accidentally set off all its fireworks at once. Now, this happens every once in a while when they do the event. But this just looks like, if any of you are familiar with Dragon Ball, this looks like Goku.
Somebody going Super Saiyan.
Going Super Saiyan.
Have you ever?
And the sound is just incredible.
It's pretty spooky. It can really get gnarly. Have you ever been at a fireworks show when there's an accident like that?
No. But this is you have
a couple years ago that happened at a fireworks show I was at. It's truly scary, but also awe-inspiring at the same time.
I love some of the comments people were saying. They're like, "Oh, we're doing it to signal the aliens," the whole deal.
Well, the thing that came to my mind was, of course, a couple seconds into all those fireworks going off at the same time, the sky is just covered in smoke, which is a great screen for doing some Project Bluebeam.
Oh yeah,
get some big projections of some aliens or something up there. It's the perfect backdrop to a mass hologram.
I was ready for Vegeta to step out of the flame,
This is a Dragon Ball Z heavy episode, folks.
Hey, I was early on the Dragon Ball Z before it came to America.
You were.
I was reading the comic books.
Well, I got a 33 update here for you.
Oh, okay. Well, we do have, just to mention, up north, San Francisco, it's burning down the city. Fires linked to fireworks erupt across San Francisco Bay Area Saturday night.
Oh. Yeah.
And nothing really to say other than all the fireworks set off a bunch of fires, and the firemen had to work overtime.
That's
100
what I'm saying,
fires.
Man. That what they're learning is, they thought canceling public events and keeping people from going out. We saw it first with the protests. I mean, you kept everybody locked inside for 3 months, took away bars, took away sports, took away all the pressure valves that society has. And of course it erupts in riots and looting and protests. And the same thing here, when you have an organized fireworks display, you might get a bunch of people congregating, but at least they're all focused in one position and there's a time limit on time to go home. But you take those away on the 4th of July and everybody's left to shoot off their own fireworks, you're just going to have a wild time. And it happened in San Francisco too, so there's patriots all over the place.
Yeah, 100 fires in San Francisco between 3 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. Saturday night.
Oh my gosh, that is so dangerous. Wow. Yeah.
So hopefully, I think
I hope nothing serious burned down.
Well, the article stated that no one got hurt. So more than stuff getting burnt down, no one got hurt, which is more important, I think. But there you have it. And that was America this weekend.
Who was it? Guy Wilson in the Twitch chat says the prisoner firefighters were locked down for COVID. But there's another thing. So California famously, uses the 13th Amendment to put their prisoners to work fighting fires, pay them like $1 a day or something.
Right.
But with all the prisoners set free for COVID, they let out all these prisoners because they didn't want them to get sick in jail. Now we don't have any cheap firefighters. So, this is California biting itself in the butt again.
Oh, yeah. Good job, Newsom. Good work, Newsom.
Okay, I'm skipping one. I'm going to let you take that other one, but I want to give the 33 update here.
Okay, go ahead. We'll just do it real quick.
So this isn't necessarily new, but since we like to keep an eye on 33, the number 33, for those who don't know, 33 has been pinpointed as an elite messaging number. So when you read all these accounts of 33,000 something or other, cases of COVID, 33 shows up a lot. Yeah. And showed up again. Now, this is a story from about a year ago, but I thought it was interesting coming from finance.yahoo.com. Jennifer Lopez says men under the age of 33 are really useless.
You know what that means? I am useful. You are not.
You are. You're finally good for something.
I know. Thanks, Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, she says men under the age of 33 are, quote, really useless, according to actor and singer Jennifer Lopez. The star made the comments on a video she appeared in for a dating app, Tinder, in which she tried to help a woman named Brooke find a man by taking control of her account. She can be seen quickly swiping left on a number of men in their 20s before telling Brooke that, quote, guys until they're 33 are really useless.
Wow. Okay.
Sounds like some secret messaging to me, Gonzo.
Yeah, but she's basically saying find a Freemason.
Yeah.
If you want success in life, find a Freemason to marry, and you will be set to go.
33rd degree Freemason if you want to get anywhere.
Yeah, those 32nd degree Freemasons are no good.
No good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's another quick update here. And this one made the rounds. This was a Mother Jones article. I don't necessarily want to read it, but the headlines.
Mother
here,
Jones.
I know, Mother Jones. Fantastic. Very centric.
Yeah,
outlet.
so moderate.
Yeah. To celebrate the 4th, Michael Flynn posts a pledge to conspiracy group QAnon. And you would think that there you go, Michael Flynn connection to QAnon complete. But I'll read a couple paragraphs here. It says Donald Trump's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, posted a video on Independence Day in which he recites an oath for QAnon conspiracy theorists along with 5 others. Wow. And I don't know if you've seen this online, Basil, but a bunch of people taking oaths, to protect the Constitution and this whole deal. And, some people say it's a Q thing, but in reality, this oath to defend the Constitution was I think it's very old. I think it goes back
similar?
decades.
I wonder if the language, I have not actually looked into it. So if somebody knows better, they can let me know. That might be you.
Yeah,
it sounds like the type of oath the president or maybe a member of Congress or someone might have to take defending the Constitution.
Right. And the point being here that it doesn't mean General Flynn was actually, connecting himself to QAnon, although it's possible. A lot of people think that QAnon is, Michael Flynn or a group associated with at least Trump to be the very least. So maybe it is, maybe it's not. But the point being, it's not, as far as the left is concerned, it's not a direct pledge to conspiracy group QAnon. Right. The actual oath is much older. QAnon didn't come up with the oath. So,
of course, the
just
media,
to clear that up,
when they see anything that's sort of patriotic like that, it's immediately a conspiracy theory.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So just to point that out, I'm not saying that he's not or he is, but certainly wasn't just taking it at face value. He didn't say anything about Q or anything like that. So just want to make that clear and let people know that, it's not true what the left here or what Mother Jones is saying, but also on the opposite end, it doesn't necessarily mean that therefore he is Q or he's associated with Q. So, just a quick update there because, there is some scripture that suggests not to take oaths. And I know there's different views on that. I don't have the scriptures pulled up, but you know what I'm talking about, right, Basil? There's some passages that say don't, and I think a lot of the passage has to do with basically taking oaths in vain and doing things just for, the Pharisees doing it for control purposes and stuff like that. Because Jesus does, in a sense, kind of take an oath to, man, I'm really forgetting one of my. I've read a few things up on it. And I just don't have it in front of me. I should have prepared a little better. But some people in the chat know about it. Yeah, there's more, and I can dig into it on a Face Like the Sun video or something more. But because I know there's a sentiment out there that Bible believers should not take any oaths, and certainly one can interpret that passage. I think it's in Luke.
I'd have to go back and look at the context of that verse there.
Right.
Because that would mean that a Christian couldn't become the president of the United States.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Witness in court or something like that.
And I think Jesus actually even takes not a direct oath, but, says some things that would allude to a certain type of allegiance.
There is the Nazarene oath. So if he was a Nazarene, Jesus of Nazareth, there is an oath associated with that as well.
Yeah. So there you go.
I don't know. You got to look into it. A little Bible study on that.
I know.
Okay. I got a Elon Musk, a 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Technocalypse. Come on.
For you.
The 4 horsemen of the Technocalypse.
Anytime you see the 4 horsemen, it's something special.
So this is from entrepreneur.com. I'm going to read a little bit here, and I want you to tell me what do you think this is a reference to? The article is titled, Elon Musk started selling red satin shorts to celebrate Tesla's stock climbing, and it crashed the website. Tesla CEO Elon Musk tweeted on Sunday to announce that his electric car firm was selling limited edition branded red satin shorts. The price is listed as $69,420. Oh my gosh. That is funny. I did not see that before. The price is listed as no. Oh. $69,420 on the Tesla website, a reference to two popularly memed numbers, 69 and 420. Musk is fond of referencing 420, which has associations with marijuana, and famously landed in trouble in 2018 for vowing to take Tesla private at 420 a share. On June 28th, he tweeted, 69 days after 420 again. Haha. The shorts have the word sexy written on the back, the S3XY, referring to the 4 models of Tesla. A reference, says right here, a reference to Tesla's Model S, Model 3, Model X, and Model Y vehicles. A description for the shorts on Tesla's website reads, celebrate summer with Tesla short shorts. Run like the wind or entertain like Liberace with our red satin and gold trim design. Relax poolside or lounge indoors year-round with your limited edition Tesla short shorts, featuring our signature Tesla logo on the front with sexy across the back. Enjoy exceptional comfort from the closing bell. And then there's more about it, but there you go. It crashed the website in 3 minutes after he tweeted it. People really want these shorts, man.
I guess. Not the cars.
What does it remind you of?
What? The red shorts?
Yeah.
I don't know. China?
MAGA hats. It's a play on the MAGA hat.
All right, so people have the MAGA hats, and then they got the sexy shorts.
Yeah, you got your MAGA hat, your red MAGA hat, you got your red Tesla shorts.
Although
you are set to go.
This isn't anything against the MAGA people, but I would be very disturbed seeing many of the people wearing MAGA hats in short shorts. That might not be a good look.
Gone, so judgmental.
I'll wear them. I'll wear them and show my.
I would too. I wouldn't be surprised. We should pull up eBay. I bet they're on eBay for like hundreds of dollars now.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. We should
put it
knockoffs.
On my Amazon wish list.
We should make the knockoffs. Are they made in China?
I don't know. Probably. Make sure to disinfect them.
Yeah. Okay. Was that all the updates? We got one more. Oh, we got one more. This is more. No, we got a couple more. Okay. So this one is, this one's a quick COVID update. We have more COVID stories later on here, but this is a quick COVID update. COVID. And thank you to Cynthia for sending this one in. This is cron4.com. As coronavirus pandemic continues, company shares model of future remote worker. Many Americans continue to work from home amid the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Job discovery platform Direct Apply revealed an apparent model of what future remote workers may look like in 25 years if they don't change bad habits now.
Yeah.
She's named Susan. Susan suffers from a host of health implications, including digital eye strain.
Oh, it's a woman. I didn't know that. It's kind of hard to tell just looking at it.
Poor posture, tech neck, obesity, increased stress due to lack of human contact, and more, according to Direct Apply. And those of you watching on screen, it's not the most attractive look. It definitely looks like the people that are sitting on those chairs in WALL-E.
WALL-E. Yeah. Yes, this is a full-on WALL-E person. You know, they come out with these models for different stuff. It's become kind of a joke, almost like a meme in itself. They came out, it started when they came out with the model of what they thought Jesus would really look like, putting it in the Middle Eastern context. And then they had one, I can't remember. We had one on the show maybe a year or so ago. I think it was they did it for what Americans will generally look like in 50 years, which is sort of a Milano type person. Right. And then they did one for, I think, like virtual reality gamers, which was sort of a zombie-like person. They do this every once in a while, and this is pretty funny. Unfortunately, I think a lot of us can see ourselves going in that direction if we don't pull back on the stick now.
Yeah, that's why I spent some time in the pool this weekend,
There you go.
I saw these pictures and I thought, get out, get in the pool, get that sweet chlorine all over me.
There, sweet chlorine. All right, one more update, and this one, let me tell you about the beast system, Gon.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
Now, one of the things we do on this show is track the technocracy, and especially in the context of biblical prophecy, which there's a lot of talk about microchips, microchipping workers, microchipping individuals, and connecting that with the biblical mark of the beast. But here's a little bit of news from GOPhouse.org. This is the Michigan House Republicans. The article is titled Representative Kale's Plan to Prohibit Employers from Requiring Microchipping for Workers in Michigan Passes the House. Now, this is tiny, tiny text, so let's see how I do here. The Michigan House today passed the Microchip Protection Act with bipartisan support. The plan, sponsored by Representative Barona Kale, will protect the privacy rights of Michigan workers and promote further growth for job providers as it relates to microchipping, a cutting-edge technology on the rise across the country that increases workplace efficiency. Quote, with the way technology has increased over the years and as it continues to grow, it's important Michigan job providers balance the interests of the company with their employees' expectations of privacy, Kale said. Microchipping has been brought up in many conversations as companies across the country are exploring cost-effective ways to increase workplace efficiency. While these miniature devices are on the rise, so are the call of workers who have their privacy protected. Radio frequency identification tags, commonly referred to as microchips, are beginning to seep into the marketplace as new technological devices to help streamline everyday business practices. The chips, roughly the size of a grain of rice, are implanted into the hands of employees and act as a replacement for ID badges, time cards, usernames, and passwords for security clearance, and even credit cards. While there are only a few known U.S.-based companies embedding microchips in its employees, several job providers could be following suit soon, including businesses in Michigan. Quote, despite this type of technology not quite making its way into our state yet, I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes a standard business practice statewide within the next few years, Kale said. Quote, we should absolutely take every step possible to get ahead of these devices. Under Kale's plan, Michigan employers would be able to utilize microchipping, but could not mandate employees to have such devices implanted. Kale said the measure strikes a good balance between protecting workers' rights and providing businesses with flexibility to increase efficiency and further growth. 5 states have already outlawed mandatory microchipping for employees, Kale said, with Indiana being the most recent. House Bill 5672 now heads to the Senate for further consideration. So there you go. No mandated company-wide microchipping, people in Michigan. Congratulations.
I'm actually, this is a good thing. In Indiana also, that, the article mentioned it, but Indiana passed HEA 1143, which is the same kind of deal. Employees or employers are prohibited from mandating the implantation of any identity or tracking device in a worker or job candidate. It's, what's crazy though? It's crazy that we are at this point where we have to pass these bills to prevent microchipping mandate from companies.
Right. The idea of a mandated microchip to work for your company is completely wild.
It's insane.
I mean, we talk about the government taking away rights and infringing on privacy, but that's really America's real problem. Is not, the government is in charge only as far as the major corporations will allow the government to be in charge. We all know corporations really run this country. And when you have if you can't work for a company without getting microchipped, that is just as bad, if not worse, in its sort of manipulative nature than getting microchipped by the government. And you put it in the context of the classic mark of the beast microchip. It's just as serious. You talk about not being able to buy or sell without your mark. Well, if all the companies mandated chips and you don't have the chip, then there you go. No money. You can't buy or sell, do nothing.
Right.
So this is good. Seeing it across multiple states now, but not enough states when I really take a second to think about it.
Yeah, 5.
Michigan only being the 7th, I think. 6th or 7th. Yeah,
do you know what other states have put this in mandate? Because I only heard about Indiana and now Michigan, so I don't know what the other states are.
I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah,
I'm trying to find it here, but I'm not able to nail it down in our short little, my little Google search here. But hopefully it comes to your state and or country, and because that is definitely the next step, so to speak. Once it becomes mandatory, but they can make it not mandatory legally, but culturally they can make it mandatory in a sense. You're totally going to fall behind. Yeah,
a lot of those states that are not requiring masks, a lot of them, they're not necessarily mandatory in a legal sense, but they're mandatory in a social sense, and that's almost worse in a lot of cases. Yeah, it is. But we just wanted to keep track of that because good news in a sense, but also signs of the times, so to speak. Mm-hmm. There you go.
We always said
it's got to be biblical.
And it is.
And it is. All right, Gons, are you ready to get into our first big article here? The big news of the day.
Please rise for our national anthem.
Work it, make it, do it. Makes us harder, better, faster, stronger. That don't kill me.
That's right, folks. Here we are, uprocks.com. You've already heard of it, but let's talk about it. Kanye West reportedly hasn't filed any of the paperwork necessary to become a presidential candidate. Do you have the tweet pulled up where he announced?
I don't. I can probably find it.
Yeah, why don't you pull that up while I get into this here. On stage at the 2015 MTV VMAs, Kanye West made a big announcement. He planned on running for the 2020 presidential election. It seems that Kanye hasn't forgotten his promise, as he aptly announced on the 4th of July that he wants to include himself as a presidential candidate in November's election. If he continues to follow through with his plan, it looks like the rapper has to seek out some last-minute paperwork to become an official candidate, which he has yet to do. According to a report from Pitchfork, Kanye hasn't officially filed as a presidential candidate with the Federal Elections Commission, the FEC, a necessary step in running for office. The report states that the FEC confirmed Kanye had not officially filed for candidacy, though there is allegedly a 2015 filing for a Green Party candidate named Kanye D's Nuts West, who hadn't raised a single dollar for their campaign. So he may have actually filled out the paperwork in 2015, it sounds like.
Yeah. Well,
just to finish out this article, if Kanye plans on running as an independent candidate, someone who isn't affiliated with a political party, he needs to submit the paperwork soon in order to appear on the ballots. The filing deadline has already passed in the states of Indiana, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, and Texas. However, it is possible for citizens to vote for the rapper as a write-in on their ballots in November. There's a little bit of hate speech in here, Gons. Did you notice it?
I didn't.
You didn't? It says, however, it is possible for citizens to vote for the rapper as a write-in. And of course, that's hate speech because, people who aren't documented citizens need to be able to vote. So I hear.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. They're trying to ignore half the population. Maybe not half. I did find the tweet here. He said, we must now realize the promise of America by trusting God, unifying our vision, and building our future. I am running for president of the United States, #2020 vision. And the top tweet in support, your brother Elon Musk. You have my full support. Exclamation point.
There you go. He's got Elon behind him. Yeah. This is pretty wild, man.
It is. And I like Cyberpunk 2077, which is a video game, right under it. So this is how it started. And actually,
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the tweet before the announcement tweet is a picture of Kanye. I think it was, here we go. A picture of Kanye and Elon. Kanye said, when you go to your boy's house and you're both wearing orange. And there's Elon wearing a shirt with an orange a literal orange on his shirt,
Best
and then
buddies.
Kanye wearing best buds.
Best buddies. Yeah, this is interesting because now you may want to go into this after something else you got there. I don't know if you want to get into the conversation now regarding celebrities becoming politicians, but we had Reagan, who was a movie star, became a politician. Then we had a little break there. We had some, lifelonger family legacy politicians come through. And now we got Trump, who, was a celebrity before he became president. And so it seems like the stage is set for this to be realistic. And the most terrifying part about this is that Kanye's wife, Kim Kardashian, would then be the first lady.
Well, aren't you pro-capitalist? Aren't you are you an anarcho-capitalist? Or are you like a crony capitalist?
I'm not playing this game again. I already had to go around the table on 4th of July.
Oh, okay. All right. Are you a Trump fan?
Do you like Trump? Do you like Trump?
This is on one hand, it's like, wow, imagine all the products, that would be.
Oh yeah, presidential makeup lines and
the first
presidential
lady
handbags.
Yeah, first lady line of products, and it was actually one of the things I was trying to do was look up a list of products that Kim Kardashian has promoted, or at least just promoted or made. And there's no list. The only list I can find has so many things. It's like impossible to. I mean, she's going to sell anything.
What list were you looking for? I tuned
just
out.
A list of items that Kim Kardashian has made or promoted as part of her, platform. Yeah. And there is no list because it's such a massive thing. There's articles about all the kinds of things she's promoted, but nothing, there's no like definitive list, probably because it's,
it's probably like a lot of things. Kind of like Donald Trump, he's famous for his real
the
estate,
steaks.
But there's Trump steaks, Trump vodka, Trump this, Trump that, Trump University.
Yeah.
Once you hit a certain level of, your personal brand, you just put that on anything. So, but it'll be interesting because I know that there was some issues with Ivanka Trump. She had a clothing line. I think, I don't want to go on the record here, but I think she had to close her clothing line down to serve in the government in the capacity that she does now. Either that or she just wasn't making any money. I don't remember. But that would be pretty wild and not that strange because you got to remember Kanye and Trump are not necessarily enemies.
Right. No, they're in together. I think a lot of Trump supporters are excited about this because it might pull away a lot of the Biden votes,
Well, and that's exactly what I think this is. And I'm not the first. Other people were talking about this, but I think what this might be is a probably very effective attempt to split the Biden vote. From I won't say the whole black community, people say the black community as if it's one group of people who all think the same, which is not true at all.
Well, not true for any group.
Yeah, but I could see how the Democrats would be pretty irked about the possibility of Kanye taking some precious votes away from Uncle Joe there. And it might be the plan all the way through. I mean, who knows? Maybe Trump made the called up Kanye, said, hey, throw your hat in the ring. I need you to deflect some of those votes for Biden.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
The list is getting better and better. We got hairy legs Biden. I mean, obviously we got Trump. Now we got Yeezy.
President Yeezy.
We changed the title of this episode to President Yeezy, and originally it was Prez Yee, like
Prez Yay is what you had,
why he? And you were kind of like, does he even call himself that? Does anybody call him that? And on Kanye West's personal Twitter account, it's Ye. Whitey. So
okay.
That's where I
stand
got
corrected.
it. That's where I got it.
I'm not as cool as I used to be.
You're falling
But
back.
interesting connection to our show, to Kanye, when he released his last album, Jesus is
That's
King.
right.
The
Right, he is a
logo
thief.
looked just like the Canary Cry Radio logo. So
Well, yeah.
I think he listens to the show. Kanye, give me a call, buddy.
It's possible.
Let's figure this out.
It's possible. There was another article from Business Insider. Kanye West announced on Twitter that he's running for president, but it's too late for him to appear on the ballot in 6 states.
Yeah.
And we don't have to read it necessarily. I'll just, I mean, it pretty much summarizes the whole thing here. But yeah, I mean, again, he's going to have to get some write-in votes or, pick it up on the paperwork to really have an impact here.
Citizens can always vote him in.
It's true.
Write in. And while we're on the topic of Kanye, let's head over to the Cryptonomist.
Oh, yeah. Yes, the Cryptonomist. And you know what? I'm going to play this again because it's such a great jingle.
Please rise for our national anthem.
Work it, make it, do it. Makes us older, better, faster, stronger. That don't kill me.
The part of that is a Daft Punk sample.
Yeah.
So, you got to get Daft Punk in there too.
Okay. And blockchain.
Oh, that's right. Blockchain.
Blockchain.
Okay, here we go. The Cryptonomist. This article is titled Kanye West Coin Coming to Cardano. And this is brand new. This came out today. Should Kanye West actually participate in the U.S. presidential election in November, a Kanye coin will be issued on Cardano. This was revealed by the co-founder of the Cardano project, Charles Hoskinson, during yesterday's AMA video session on YouTube. Indeed, the famous American rapper Kanye West has announced that he wants to run in November presidential election against Donald Trump and Joe Biden, supported by his wife Kim Kardashian and Elon Musk. In reality, he had already announced a long time ago that he wanted to run, but in the end, in 2016, he supported Donald Trump. This time, however, he seems to really want to take part in the elections. In this regard, should he actually participate, Hoskinson has announced that depending on how many votes the rapper will get, as many Kanye coins will be issued. Hoskinson said, quote, "I'll tell you what, it's not a joke. When Cardano has native assets, to demonstrate the power and uniqueness of native assets, we will issue Kanye coin, and the circulation will be 1 token for each vote that Kanye gets in the election. And they can be nice collector's items and will airdrop them proportionally to all the ADA holders. But the initiative will not only involve Kanye West. In fact, Hoskinson has promised the same thing for Brock Pierce, also a candidate for the presidential election in November. Quote, Brock Pierce also announced his candidacy, and he's a good old friend of mine. We've known each other for a long time, so also to advertise our native asset standard, we will do the same thing for Brock Pierce, Pierce coin and Kanye coin. So it's a great way of demonstrating how multi-asset works, and it's a great way of demonstrating connections to real-life events. In fact, he added that to do this in a decentralized way, they will need an oracle. So they will start the development of the oracle in the hope of making it work before the elections. One of the possible uses of these tokens will be betting on predictions of results, although Hoskinson has not specified in detail how it will work. Surely the main objective is to get some visibility on the new feature that allows issuing tokens on Cardano. So, for those who are not in the know in the crypto and blockchain world, Cardano is a company that allows you to basically create your own cryptocurrency. Not cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, but more like a token, which is...
Well, it's a smart contract platform, which means you can create. It's kind of like Ethereum, if people are familiar with Ethereum, but if you're not, it's a generation 3 blockchain is what they're calling it, and they're really big on science. They do all their research on peer reviewed research, which has taken them a long time to actually create an actual blockchain and release it, because they're trying to solve the proof of stake protocol, and which kind of goes in line with the Daddy Fauci statement.
Science is truth.
And if you go to the Cardano.org website, and part of it too, I've talked about this on the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. There's a lot of occult, esoteric type of names associated with the Cardano project. One of them being Ouroboros. Okay, so proof of stake in Ouroboros, the most environmentally sustainable blockchain protocol. Ouroboros is the first peer-reviewed, verifiably secure blockchain protocol, and Cardano is the first blockchain to implement it. Ouroboros enables the Cardano network's decentralization and allows it to sustainably scale to global requirements without crucially compromising security. And of course, Ouroboros, to anyone who's not familiar, is the symbol of the snake eating its own tail. So there's a lot of occult overtones or undertones. I don't know. It's pretty blatant. So there's that part of it. And also Brock Pierce that's mentioned in this article.
Right.
Brock Pierce he was one of the 3 pedo guys in the movie An Open Secret, which is a documentary that came out, and it covered the Mark Collins Rector, I think was his name. And what was the other guy's name? Bryan Singer, the X-Men guy.
Right.
And also it was Brock Pierce. He was part of that crew when Brock Pierce was very young. He was part of that, grooming thing, trying to get young kids to come and stay with Mark Collins Rector and the mansions and the whole deal. Go look up An Open Secret, the documentary, if you haven't already. So that's that guy. So I'm going, okay, what are we doing here? Like what kind of associations are taking place here? I know this is kind of in the rabbit trail and into the weeds from the Kanye conversation, but as long as we're on the topic of Cardano and crypto and all that, we're talking about, some pretty nefarious types of characters. Brock Pierce also had his own, he was part of a company or group called Block One that produced the EOS token, and EOS is out there as well, another cryptocurrency project. And these guys are all there. They're all part of this new blockchain thing, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it's a little concerning when the people you're rubbing shoulders with are the same types of people that are within this whole Hollywood pedo elite.
Well, that's
or at
what
least
happens
at one
when
point.
you get too many elites together, Gons.
I know.
Get too many elites together, you get some dark stuff swirling around.
I know, but people are, I guess people don't or forget or don't know the associations or what it. I don't know that Kanye. Well, maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't know the associations with these guys or whatever. But Hodgkinson also. One more thing. Charles Hoskinson, who is the founder of Cardano, and he, I think at one point he was, I think he co-created or helped create Ethereum with Vitalik and decided to branch off and do his own thing a couple times, actually. He, in a live stream that I have documented somewhere, I don't have it in front of me, but he and another guy named Crypto Crow, who is another, crypto personality on YouTube, basically admit that they're Freemasons. So there's your association right there. And, they're talking about, we're not supposed to talk about those secret parties. Ha ha ha. And they kind of joke about it. But Crypto Crow has openly stated that he is a Freemason on air. So, and there's a couple more out there that are openly Freemason in the crypto world. So just keep an eye out, but the associations, you don't have to go down the rabbit trail too far to find these folks that are part of this entire network of evil, so to speak. And, it's troubling, but most people aren't going to care. As long as I want the Kanye coin, give me President Yee, whatever.
Well, it's interesting.
And the Kanye coin.
It's presented as kind of a collector's item, this Kanye coin. And, Cardano, if we had the time and the energy or the will, which we don't have, but, we could make a Canary Cry coin that gets dispersed. We mint one every episode or something, or every
proof of episode,
maybe based on the viewership of each episode. That's how many coins get minted, something like that.
We can make they're called non-fungible tokens, NFTs.
Right.
You'll be hearing about that a lot more as well. These digital items that are unique, only one exists. You can't, copy and paste it basically. So anyway. Just getting a little technical into the weeds there, but
yeah, a little bit there. Well, you can check out canarycryradio.com/crypto. Learn more about crypto. Yeah. On the same note, over on Newsweek.com, we have another celebrity talking about going for the presidency. Says the article is titled "Kanye's announced, so which other celebrities are saying they'll run for president?" A few more celebrities may be joining Kanye West on the 2020 presidential ballot come November. The rapper's announcement of his 2020 campaign on Saturday inspired some celebrities to give current nominees President Donald Trump and Joe Biden some more competition by throwing their names in the ring for the upcoming election. Just a few hours after West revealed his plans to join the race to the White House, Paris Hilton posted her campaign catchphrase. Paris Hilton. Oh my gosh. Paris for president, Hilton tweeted on Saturday. Comedian and actor Tiffany Haddish revealed her bid for the presidency too in a copycat post of West's announcement. "We must now realize the promise of America by trusting God, unifying our vision, and building our future. I too am running for president of the United States."
That sounds like she just mocked Kanye.
Yeah, comedians, they'll mess with people like that. Yeah. Also, Full House star Bob Saget contemplated throwing his name in the ring too. Also connected to some of that Pizzagate stuff. Writing on Twitter on Saturday, quote, "Should I run for president too? I don't much about anything." Okay.
Which, if you guys are unfamiliar, he played this wholesome father on Full House, but then you go see Bob Saget on his stand-ups, and it's like, it's just the most vulgar thing you'll ever see. Nasty man. That's a good way to put it.
He updated fans the next day and revealed his potential running mate. Quote, "I have a big announcement to make. Last night, as a joke, I tweeted and asked if I should run for president too. But thanks to all your kind support, I've made a decision. Stand by, because here it comes," he tweeted. He followed up the tweet with a photo of his longtime castmate, John Stamos. "Oh. Here we go," Saget wrote. So we got John Stamos on in there too. Right. It's sad. It's really sad to watch these celebrities. He may have continued to be joking, but when he tweets, "But thanks to all your kind support," no, you don't have any real support. You're a celebrity and people are anonymously tweeting at you. That does not mean you should actually run for president. These people are in echo chambers, bubbles of support. Nobody supports that.
You probably have 40-plus-year-old women who had the Stamos crush.
Oh yeah.
Really pushing for it. And, Jesse, right? Jesse from
Uncle Jesse.
Full House.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Full House growing up?
Not really. I mean,
I think you're too young.
I was
for
a little bit young.
I was I think I was the what is it when they re-show shows? The repeat? Okay, I don't know.
Rerun?
Rerun, thank you.
Wow, it's been a while since you've watched real TV, huh?
Yes, it has. Yeah, I think I'm the rerun generation there, Full House. It was after TV, or after school TV. Man, I can't talk today. What's going on?
Let me finish this out here. While Hilton, Haddish, and Saget were likely just joking, Newsweek did reach out to each of their teams to confirm, but did not receive responses by the time of publication. There is at least one former celebrity who is seriously moving forward with their campaign efforts. Child actor and cryptocurrency magnate Brock Pierce.
There he is again.
There it is, popping up everywhere. Announced on Saturday that he will be running as an independent in the 2020 election. Quote, "I've spent my life creating great things from nothing, and I can help others do the same," the Mighty Ducks star said in a statement. Quote, "Entrepreneurs are essential to the rebuilding of this nation that we love, and I'm running in this race because I know that together we can help build a pathway towards the rebirth of America that we love so much. It's unclear if Pierce or West will actually make it on the ballot, as requirements for independence and deadlines for filings vary across the 50 states. Although West tweeted his plans to run for president, Chicago native hasn't actually confirmed taking any steps towards blah, 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 blah. So there you go. So everybody's trying to be president now.
Brock Pierce talking about the rebirth of America. He must have missed the Trump memo.
We will launch a new age
Oh, it's already happening, bro. You're late.
Wow, yeah, that's right. Brock's just jumping on. He's repeating slogans here. We don't need that.
Yeah, and just to round it off here, Forbes.com, Bitcoin investor Brock Pierce announces 2020 presidential run, promises stimulus check overhaul.
Great.
Yeah, wonderful, isn't it? The U.S. is gearing up for the looming 2020 election amid a bleak economic backdrop blighted by the coronavirus pandemic. A crowded Democratic primary field has given way to former Vice President Joe Biden, the presumptive nominee who is set to take on Donald Trump for the White House in November. And now, Brock Pierce announces his thing, promising to use technology to, quote, enhance institutions and improve lives. Technology should be embraced, not feared.
Technocrat.
Yeah, technocrat right there. And there you go. I mean, I'm not going to really get
quick
into it.
Before we move on to the next set of stories, I do want to mention I saw some people complaining about the YouTube stream. I will confirm YouTube does not like us. The constant demonetizing videos, shadow banning, full on taking down videos, and messing with the stream midstream. So if you're having problems over on the YouTube stream, all right, we got some good numbers today. Make sure to head to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. We'll pop that link in the chat there for you. It's a good idea to follow and turn on notifications because you never know when notifications will stop coming from YouTube. And at least following on Twitch, A, the connection is usually better, and B, it's a good backup for if YouTube takes more drastic measures. So Go ahead and do that. If you want to pop that link in there, Guns, nobody will complain.
Okay, let me do it real quick as I try to talk here. But yeah, one of the things that I wanted to mention as part of this whole movement, and you mentioned it at the beginning here, is this whole celebrity culture for running for president. And it reminded me of something that was mentioned by the professor Michio Kaku, the scientist, the Japanese-American scientist.
Yeah.
And about 10, 12 years ago, maybe even more, he was talking about the Kardashev scale, which is basically this idea that we are currently in this type 0 civilization with no future or whatever. And we're going to move into the type 1 civilization where we've harnessed the energy of the earth kind of thing. And then type 2, harness the energy of a star. And then type 3, the solar system, or I think galaxy actually. So anyway, I was trying to find the clip of Michio Kaku actually talking about celebrity presidents and stuff. And I couldn't really find the exact quote that I was looking for, but I'll play, I don't know, minute and a half or so of this video from, this was published at least on this channel here, October 2008. So we know that this is at least 12 years old when Michio Kaku said this. I think it was even longer ago. But he's talking about moving from a type 0 to a type 1 civilization. But pay attention to what he calls people that reject this idea of moving into a type 1 civilization.
Every time I read the newspaper, I see evidence of this historic transition from type 0 to type 1. And I am privileged to be alive in the most important era in the history of the human race, the transition from type 0 to type 1. I read the newspaper and I see evidence of this everywhere. What is the European Union? The European Union has been formed to oppose NAFTA, that is, the United States, Canada, and Mexico. But why? Because we're seeing the beginnings of a type 1 economy. Huge planetary trading blocks are the beginnings of a type 1 economy. And what language will this type 1 economy speak? Everywhere I go around the world, I find that the elites all speak English as a second language. In the future, the planet Earth will be like that. Everyone will speak their own native language, but on top of that, there will be a type 1 language, probably English. There's also going to be a type 1 culture and a type 1 political system as well. You can go anywhere on the planet Earth and show people pictures of two individuals that are instantly recognizable by any human, Madonna and Arnold Schwarzenegger. In other words, we're talking about Hollywood movies. We're talking about rock and roll, rap music, blue jeans. That's going to be the planetary culture of the planet Earth. And what is the internet? The internet is the beginning of a Type 1 telephone system. That's all it is. And so this transition is perhaps the most important transition of all time. Some people don't want it. They fear this transition because this transition is to a planetary civilization tolerant of many cultures. These are the terrorists. In their gut, they fear this because they know they are witnessing the birth pangs of a beginning of a new planetary civilization, and the terrorists want nothing to do with it.
Wow.
There you go. So people that are against this birth pang, he calls it a birth pang. This globalization are terrorists, according to Michio Kaku 12 years ago. So, I mean, they've been setting this up for a long time. And I don't know. It's kind of contradictory to suggest that, hey, it's going to be this planetary thing where all the cultures are shared, except if you're against the globalism, you're a terrorist.
You know, and it's interesting, too, especially coming from the left there, where, you know, American culture is not necessarily looked upon as necessarily the best thing. And he was talking about how the planetary culture would be rock and roll and Madonna and Arnold Schwarzenegger and blue jeans.
Blue jeans.
And what is all that associated with? Famously, with America. Yeah. So he's saying American culture will become planetary culture, and to go against that, you'll be a terrorist. I mean, it's fun to think about as an American, but if I'm coming, you know, if I'm coming at it as a lefty American disliker, I won't say hater, I'll say disliker, an unpatriotic lefty or something, then I think Mr. Okaku is a little bit too American for this globalization movement.
Dr. Kaku, Professor Kaku. There.
Sorry, it's Michio Kaku,
yeah, it's Michio
right?
Kaku, yeah. It's Michio Kaku.
Michio Kaku.
Not Okaku.
Okay, I added the O. Subtracted and added. Anyways, you get the point.
Yeah.
He can't do that.
Yeah. Point being.
Oh, it's a new world order. It's here.
That's right. All right. Well, and now off to I would say the number one most exciting thing that happened since last episode, Gons. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Woo!
I almost said it was the second most exciting news after Kanye, but this is really more exciting than that. Now we're going to come at it from abcnews.go.com, which is ABC is owned by Disney, which is is also owned by China. So keep that in mind as we read this. But the article is titled "Former Jeffrey Epstein Companion Ghislaine Maxwell Arrested." Boom. I think former Jeffrey Epstein companion is a light way of putting it, but as we know, Ghislaine Maxwell was sort of the operations officer of the pedo ring that he ran, and very bad lady, and was hiding out, but we got her. Let's read the article. Ghislaine Maxwell, the former companion of Jeffrey Epstein, was arrested by the FBI in New Hampshire on Thursday morning. Maxwell, 58, was charged by the Southern District of New York, which did not stop investigating Epstein's associates after his death, with conspiring to entice minors to travel to engage in illegal sex acts, perjury, and other offenses. From at least 1994 to 1997, Maxwell assisted, facilitated, and contributed to Epstein's alleged abuse of minor girls, the 6-count indictment claimed. Federal prosecutors in New York alleged Maxwell helped Epstein recruit, groom, and ultimately abuse girls as young as 14. In some cases, she allegedly befriended the girls, took them shopping and to the movies before turning them over to Epstein for alleged abuse at his properties in New York City, New Mexico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, prosecutors said. Quote, "She pretended to be a woman they could trust," end quote. Acting U.S. Attorney Audrey Strauss said at a news conference Thursday, quote, "Today, after many years, Ghislaine Maxwell might finally stands charged for her role in these crimes. The perjury charges stem from statements Maxwell made in civil depositions, according to the complaint. Attorneys who represent Maxwell in civil lawsuits filed by women who allege Epstein abused them didn't immediately return messages to ABC News for comment. Maxwell previously denied any wrongdoing. She was arrested in Bradford, New Hampshire without incident. Later in the afternoon, Maxwell appeared virtually before a federal magistrate and waived her right to a detention hearing in New Hampshire, clearing the way for her transfer to New York, where she'll be temporarily detained. I don't like that. Prosecutors will request that Maxwell remain behind bars pending court hearings since she has, quote, a strong incentive to flee, according to a detention memo obtained by ABC News. The detention memo said that in the last 3 years, Maxwell has taken at least 15 international flights, and she has 3 passports, large sums of money, and many international connections. Quote, the strength of the government's evidence and the substantial prison term the defendant would face upon conviction all create a strong incentive for that defendant to flee, the memo said. The memo also claimed Maxwell used several tactics to hide from the public and authorities after Epstein was indicted last year. She moved location at least twice, changed her primary phone number and email address, and ordered packages for delivery using a different name on the shipping label, according to prosecutors. Quote, most recently, the defendant appears to have been hiding on a 156-acre property acquired in an all-cash purchase in December of 2019 through a carefully anonymized LLC in Bradford, New Hampshire, an area to which she has no other known connections, the memo said. So very interesting. She very specifically anonymously bought this humongous property and was hiding out on it, but seems like she was trying to hide out. Hiding out in New Hampshire just doesn't quite make sense to me. She could have disappeared into South America or something.
Well, there were some people that just independent researchers out there, doing the research for several months here. I remember, 3 or 4 months ago, they were saying, where's Ghislaine, trending on Twitter and stuff like that. And I think she was spotted in Israel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yep. We actually talked about that on the show.
Yeah. So, I mean, who knows? But, the carefully anonymized LLC stuff is so interesting because that's how the money launderers do it,
It's true.
Yeah.
If convicted on charges, Maxwell faces up to 35 years in prison, according to prosecutors. Epstein's alleged victims expressed gratitude to investigators for their work. Jennifer Arose, who has alleged Epstein abused her, said in a statement that she was able to, quote, take a breath of relief. The quote continues, for years, I feared Epstein and his ring. Maxwell was the center of that sex trafficking ring. Now that the ring has been taken down, I know that I can't be hurt anymore, she said in a statement. Brad Edwards, a Fort Lauderdale attorney who now represents more than 50 women who claim they were abused by Epstein, said in a statement his clients were pleased by the news of Maxwell's arrest. Quote, they are also thankful to the determination of the SDNY, that's the Southern District of New York. Prosecutors have demonstrated throughout their investigation. Today brings us one step closer to justice, he said in a statement. Maxwell's arrest almost exactly a year after the arrest of Epstein, who died by suicide. Oh, come on, ABC. In the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan in August of 2019. So there you go, Gons. It happened. I think it was the day after the last show or something. So the timing wasn't great for the show, but that's okay. We made it. And of course, immediately people were jumping on it just to get it out there. Ghislaine Maxwell did not kill herself. We'll see, though.
Oh, there was tons of stuff. And we can just bring it up right now. There was tweets with screenshots.
Tweets
and screenshots of BBC News allegedly publishing an article titled Ghislaine Maxwell moved to intensive care as coronavirus symptoms worsen. Dated July 11th, 2020, and quickly it was taken down, according to the people that posted this thing.
Yeah.
And, it's hard to really say for sure unless there's unless somebody has a link that's archive.org link or something to prove that BBC did in fact publish this.
Too easily
it's
photoshopped.
Too easily made into something that can go viral in this kind of situation. But, the point made is not really far-fetched that she may die of the Ronas or something else. You know what I mean? A little suicide,
A little something. Little camera malfunction, little guards going on a coffee break.
Yeah, and I remember somebody on Twitter. Everybody was commenting on it, so I don't remember exactly who said this, but someone had tweeted out like, "Hey, can we get like 800 cameras on her at all times?
Right.
Citizen cameras, and just everybody keep their eye on this lady because we need her to testify and spill the beans of all the people involved."
Yeah.
And
the elites would be shaking in their boots, and if I could stand corrected, I don't have the docs right in front of me, but I mean, when you look at the Epstein Lolita Express flight logs, it is quite the lineup of elites. A lot of people invested in not letting Miss Maxwell testify or name names. I know I don't know if she was claiming that she was going to be naming names, but people certainly want that to be the case.
Right. Right.
But when you start threatening the elites, that's exactly how you accidentally commit suicide.
Yeah, and I sent you a picture with your favorite man, Elon Musk, standing next to Ghislaine Maxwell, and Elon actually responded to this random person who published this photo, or not published, but shared this photo, saying your good friend Ghislaine Maxwell, with the picture of Elon in a little tuxedo there, looks like he was a little bit younger, and he responded to that tweet. He said, "Don't know Ghislaine at all. She photobombed me once at a Vanity Fair party several years ago. Real question is why VF, as Vanity Fair, invited her in the first place."
That's a good point. That's a good point. Now, here's the thing. Of course, okay. Of course, Elon is not my friend, and of course, he's in the elite circles. Yes. People are going to start believing you, Gons, as a purveyor of truth.
Okay, sorry. Googly eyes is not friends.
So I have no desire to falsely defend Elon in this, but when you do look at the picture, it does look like she was photobombing him. I mean, usually when you have celebrities, taking pictures at these sorts of events, they'll put their arm around each other. They'll at least stand next to each other. And this is not what was happening. Elon was obviously caught off guard by whoever was even taking this picture.
Yeah.
And
she's
Ghislaine
behind
is
him,
just kind of like sneaking up behind him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But given what we know about the Epstein trafficking ring, allegedly hooked up with Mossad and used to blackmail elites around the world. It could have been an attempt where she purposefully, wanted to get in a picture with Elon in order to, start getting him hooked into the thing.
Either hooked in or maybe, I mean, if you're going to defend Elon, maybe he didn't, if he's not on the flight logs, I don't know if he is. I don't think he is.
I don't think he is. No.
I know Trump is, right? Isn't Trump named?
Is, yes. And of course the Clintons and
yeah. So it's possible that, they're getting ahead of it in the sense that like, hey, you don't want to be in the log. At least we'll have this picture.
Yeah. Well, I'm like much of that business, and as well as that particular organization's strategies. That's kind of what they did. They kind of would start getting in your zone publicly, and then use that as a way to invite you to on the Lolita Express. So, Elon, to his defense, has been very outspoken about Pizzagate stuff, even before everybody else was.
Remember the guy that was. Gosh, what was it?
The divers.
The divers, yeah. He called out some.
There were kids stuck in an underwater cave,
right?
And Elon really wanted to make a submarine to save the kids, and a team of divers went down and got him first, and Elon called him a pedophile.
It's crazy.
Which got him in a lot of hot water.
But. Although his, how old is what's her name that he's with now? His partner now that he just had a baby with.
Yeah.
She looks pretty young.
What is her name? Oh my gosh.
Forget.
How could I forget?
Somebody in the chat will tell us.
Yeah. What's Elon's girlfriend's name? Grimes.
That's right.
what it is. I was faster than chat. I got it.
Good job.
Remembered
Even though
it with
chat's
my
a few
own
seconds
brain.
behind. There we go. So
yeah.
I mean, you never know with these folks, and maybe he's not associated with the Maxwell crew, but it's possible that one elite faction has taken down another elite faction. And this is part of a quote that I had in Age of Deceit 3, where, and I've mentioned it several times, where Manly P. Hall, in his last lecture in the 90s, was talking about the 2000s and saying that, just like the Crusades and, the Brotherhood is always at work, and we're going to come in, we're going to clean everything up, and then we're going to have the Savior come in. And, it just makes me wonder that this is the Maxwell and the Epstein and that whole crew is just, thrown under the bus so that the real people behind this, the nameless, faceless people that we really don't know too much about, are getting off scot-free, or at least, making it look like they're taking down a ring, especially with the ABC article here, it quoted that girl who said she can sleep easy now, she's, now that this was taken down, there's, what did she say? I can't remember. Maxwell was the center of the sex. Now that the ring is taken down, I know that I can't be hurt anymore. And it's like, yeah, you can, maybe not by them, but I just don't believe that because they have taken this out, that now all of a sudden we have this clean world. This type of thing doesn't exist, or now
well,
it's just...
I think in that girl's defense, I'm sure that Maxwell and Epstein had a bunch of blackmail on her and could try to get her to do other stuff. And, I'm sure there's all sorts of nasty stuff wrapped up there. So I'm happy for those who are sort of in the clutches of this whole situation to be out from under it. But it's not over. It was a widespread network, and there's lots of elites who could be named, and a lot of elites who don't want to be named. Yeah. So I would be terrified if I was Ghislaine Maxwell right now, as I'm sure she is. And we'll just see. I don't know. COVID could get her. Something could get her. They better just rush this through the courts real quick before something nasty happens. Unfortunately, though, if I'm going to be honest, with you, my friend Gons, and the world listening.
You're not honest otherwise, or what's the...
No.
Googly-eyed man's not honest?
It makes me sad because I can't imagine her actually surviving to a real court hearing.
Yeah, that is tough to...
I will be more surprised if she makes it, if she survives over the next couple weeks, than I will be if something nasty happens.
We'll see. Yeah, but there's there was that actor, or no, the producer that jumped out off a roof or something last week. I mean, there's all kinds of weirdness happening in Hollywood, people going down, and I know the Q crowd gets really excited anytime, which is kind of weird, right? Anytime someone dies, the Q crowd's like, oh, there it is. Down with the system, trust the plan, that whole deal. And it's, people are dying, I get it. They're bad people. I get it. They deserve, but their judgment is in front of God, not necessarily us. You know what I mean? So there's that perspective, but I wanted to play this clip from, Whitney Webb, and she's a good researcher. I enjoy some of her research in terms of, just digging things, and she's one of those independent journalist types. And this is a 2-minute clip here. She gets into some of Maxwell's associations that you may not be familiar with. This was on the Tim Dillon show. So, it's a couple minutes of that, but I'll play it here and I'll get your thoughts, Basil.
The most important are Ghislaine's twin sisters, Christine and Isabel, who get very little attention. One of them, Christine in particular, was involved with a very, very shady software program, counterterrorism program that was put on the databases of the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, and a bunch of other sensitive databases for U.S. intelligence and U.S. national security. And her father, of course, was the promised software salesman. What these sisters did is that they created one of the first search engines called Magellan in the mid-90s. And actually in that company, it wasn't just the twins, but also Ghislaine Maxwell had a stake in that, as did her brother, Kevin Maxwell, who was sort of Robert Maxwell's heir apparent.
So his two daughters are living in the U.S. at the time they developed Magellan?
Yeah, they moved to Silicon Valley after Robert Maxwell died.
I had no idea how deeply connected the Maxwell family was to these major tech companies.
Oh, yeah. All you have to do is look at what Epstein started to do right before he was arrested last year, or what he was doing right before he was arrested last year, and what he started to do around the year 2012, which is a really key year for a lot of this stuff, right? What he started to do is he started to rebrand as a tech investor, and he got interested in Silicon Valley. He started going to a lot of Silicon Valley parties, and he claimed that he had a lot of blackmail on people from Silicon Valley, right? And he was talking, he had ties, to like Elon Musk. He was at events with Mark Zuckerberg. He invited Sergey Brin, one of the Google co-founders, over to his house. He was really ingratiating himself with Silicon Valley's elite, right? He was one of the major funders of a company called Carbine 911 that was chaired and directed until just very recently by Ehud Barak, right, who was head of Israeli military intelligence when Epstein was recruited to work there, which was facilitated by Robert Maxwell in the 1980s, right? And then Ehud Barak was prime minister of Israel and was, went to Epstein's island. He also went to the apartments owned by Epstein's brother that were full of underage Eastern European girls and spent the night there on several occasions.
There you go. There's a whole history with a Silicon Valley connection there with Ghislaine Maxwell and her father and everything else. And what'd you think, Basil?
No, it does not surprise me at all.
Yeah.
These people are very well connected. And Ghislaine, there's pictures with her and elites going back almost her entire life. Pictures of her when she was in her early 20s with, I get into this and I don't remember the names of these people. But anyways, you get the point. I mean, you don't spend your whole life in elite circles and don't connect with who the current elites of the time are. And of course, that in the past 20 years being Silicon Valley.
Right. And just to sort of put a bow on this story as much as we can today, TruePundit.com published an article, Judge Orders Jeffrey Epstein Accuser to Destroy Files. This was, I thought it was interesting that this was taking place during the whole arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell. According to the True Pundit, Jeffrey Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre has been ordered by the U.S. District Judge to destroy files believed to contain the names of Epstein's associates because they were improperly obtained. Senior U.S. District Judge Loretta Preska said on Wednesday that Giuffre's attorneys would need to provide proof that the documents had been destroyed, adding that counsel shall submit an affidavit detailing the steps taken to do so, according to Newsweek. Preska noted that the protective order governing the improperly obtained documents only applied during a civil lawsuit proceeding, which has been settled. Preska's ruling came after a request by attorney Alan Dershowitz to gain access to the documents. Giuffre has claimed that Dershowitz was one of the men Epstein forced her to have sex with. In response, Dershowitz sued Giuffre for defamation in 2019. Dershowitz claimed that obtaining the Epstein files would be an asset to his defense. Preska said in a ruling that Dershowitz desired to see all the files, quote, with over 1,000 docket entries, was not a target strike, but a carpet bombing. And kind of goes into the whole thing here. But
well, that's the interesting part about that aspect of the story is they're being ordered to destroy the files, but only because Dershowitz has a legal right to see files that could be used in his defense. So it's a little strange. I mean, of course, destroying files that contain the names of everybody involved seems like a bad thing.
Right.
But the reason that he wanted them destroyed is because he didn't want Dershowitz to get his hands on them or use the legal system to gain access to them. And so the only way to stop him from getting that is to have them destroyed. So it's kind of a weird little checkmate situation. But the hopes would be that those names exist in other places or could be maybe named by Maxwell so that the names can still be associated with the crimes, but then Dershowitz doesn't have the material to mount a defense.
Right.
In the case that he is, that he is guilty of this, you sure wouldn't want him using the prosecution's files of a different related court proceeding in order to, defend himself or gain leverage over someone like Maxwell or other people within the network in order to, pull some sort of trickery so that he doesn't get convicted. Now, in the case that he is innocent, which I have no idea is the case, then that certainly would make it more of an uphill battle for him to prove his innocence. But, that's just what you get for getting wrapped up in a group like that.
Yeah. This whole thing's making me think maybe it is better to have President Yeezy. Let's just start over with a rapper.
Watch out now, Guns.
Kim
Somebody
Kardashian
might take you seriously.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, people
All
clip
right,
that. Shill.
We're going to keep, certainly there will be more news about the whole Epstein ring and Ghislaine Maxwell. Who knows? She might not even survive till next show, but we'll keep everybody posted. This is definitely going to be one of the beats that we're going to keep on for, as long as it goes. But, Gons, I think it's time for a very short break. What do you say?
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
That's right. Okay, we're just going to take a quick break, everybody, but do not go away because after this very short break, we're going into the COVID segment, and you would not believe what's happening to the bees, what's happening in Africa, what's happening with contact tracing, and our good old friend hydroxychloroquine popping back up. All sorts of very interesting COVID news coming up, so don't go anywhere. But we wanted to take just a quick second to thank some of our new Twitch followers. As y'all know, we're trying to find all sorts of ways to stabilize our streaming. Of course, when you rely on services like Twitch and YouTube and all these places, you're always in danger of losing your access to live streaming. So Twitch, we are currently asking for people to follow us on Twitch as a backup and turn on notifications because you never know when the YouTube notifications will stop. Also, there's lots of reports that the stream over on Twitch is better and gets interrupted less often. We've already had a couple times during this episode that the YouTube stream was interrupted. And, we want to thank some of our new Twitch followers because some of their names, they're straight up content, baby. They're content to the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them have, I saw a couple in there today that garners a whole rabbit trail of research. So some good ones today.
Yes, that's right. So let's just go down the list here. Twitch keeps messing with the list of followers and they keep moving it around. They've made it very difficult to find your list of followers. But I think I got it here and I think it's in order. So we're just going to go on down the list. Gons, are you ready? You got your dinger dinged?
Dinger ready.
Okay, we're going to start out with this first one that needs some investigation, and it looks like they are a longtime Twitch user, and that is Dark Buddha Mike. Dark Buddha Mike. Well, thanks for following Dark Buddha Mike. Dan, 1962. We got Killuminati, 1028.
Hey.
That's right. Ms. Daisy, 66.
Miss Daisy?
Here's a good one. Nephilim fingers too fat to type.
I like that one.
Nephilim fingers too fat to type. Thanks for the follow.
Even though you have an extra finger.
Yeah, that's right. You got extra fingers. You should be good. We got THR guy, their guy. Thank you, THR guy. Shadow Burper. No. Show Burper.
Oh, Show Burper. You're messing up their names, man.
That's my bad. Show Burper. Oh, nice little callback to the show burps that come up every episode. Camo Snake 1.
Oh, just one?
Just one. Okay. Camo Snake 1. Camo Snake 2 is not a follower yet. Gons. This one's good. Butt like the moon.
Okay.
Get it?
I get it. Yep, I get it.
All the Face Like the Sun followers should like that one. Butt Like the Moon. Candace Ann. Thank you, Candace Ann. The Pancho de Rancho.
Ooh.
Thank you. I can't tell you why. Thanks for following.
Why not?
I can't. Soldier of Yah.
All right.
Got
Not
Soldier
Yee?
Nope. Yah.
Yeah.
Roughneck God. Thank you very much, Roughneck God. Cryptic 1 RL. Thank you, Cryptic 1 RL. Nocturnal's Cowl.
All right.
Handmade in USA. Our 4th of July follower. Thanks, Handmade in USA. Honkmeister 83. Night Chase. And I think that's it. I'll do this one just for safety. Timmy 39. There we go. Those are all our new Twitch followers. Thank you guys so much. And you know, we do a lot of. Oh, I'm seeing some people saying they didn't get their Twitch shoutouts. I do apologize for that. I'm not sure how Twitch organizes this list, so I'm going to give a shout out to God-fearing woman. Thank you very much for the follow. And I think that's it. I can't see anybody else.
I didn't hear the one that I wanted to hear.
Oh, then you probably saw some other ones. Which one are you talking about?
I don't remember what it was. Something about Mossad. It was like a.
Oh,
it was
Lil
like
Mossad.
Lil Mossad. Is he an old one?
Yeah, Lil Mossad has been going for a few weeks at least. But I do want to mention we've had a few follows during the show, and I'm going to go through there. We got Limit001. Thanks for the follow. We got Gina is Huge. Thanks, Gina. This is a good one. What's Gons and Baz gonna say? That's a good one. Starve the Beast. That's right.
I like it.
Angelica Plays. Mateo Vava 5. Veronka 6AZ. And Living by the Way. So thank you.
I like it.
All right. Thank you to all our new Twitch followers. And just to remind everybody, please go follow us at twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Gons will be posting that in the chat here for you. And if you're over on YouTube, consider just popping over to Twitch for us. Gons, especially the Face Like the Sun channel, has been demonetized. So we really just stream there just so people can watch. We don't earn anything off of the YouTube anymore. And Twitch, once we hit some goals, some viewership goals, we will unlock a bunch of cool new tools to make the show better and give some control to things like jingles and all sorts of fun stuff over to the viewers over on Twitch. And the emojis are better. And the attitudes are better. Twitch is just it's my favorite chat to read for sure. That even just the emojis are super fun. And we are currently sitting at 95 viewers over on Twitch. I would love that if we could get it up over 100. So please, if there's at least 5 of you, but let's make it 10, jump over to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Thank you so much to all our followers. And I think that's it. Anything else to talk about for this break? I saw you put a link in the show notes to teach people how to turn on notifications for Twitch.
I thought you did that.
No, I didn't do that. Well,
no,
maybe I did.
You put that in there like weeks ago, and I left it there for you because I didn't know when you wanted to talk about it. But yeah, you put that in there. I'm not a Twitch guy.
Long story short, I think there's just a little toggle on our page that you just click, turns on notifications. Okay. So do that. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, Gons, you want to get back to the show?
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
It's wake up time. Gons, here we go. Jumping right in to some COVID news.
COVID.
That's right. Here we are on the NY Post, the NewYorkPost.com. The article is titled Bees. The riot control bees. Bees dying of disease eerily similar to coronavirus, British scientists say. Oh no, not the bees. The latest buzz in the science world. Honeybees are dying of something that is freakishly similar to coronavirus. Bee populations around the globe have been decimated by a viral disease that creeps into hives via asymptomatic insects and spreads like wildfire. British researchers discovered. Their research even suggests the insects could benefit from social distancing. Oh no. Why don't we give them masks? Let's mandate bee masks while we're at it. The scientists found piles of bee carcasses outside hives infected with chronic bee paralysis virus, which causes severe trembling, flightlessness, and death within a week, The Guardian reported. The infection was once a rarity, but has spread rapidly, according to the researchers at Newcastle University, who examined bees in 25 countries. In Britain, for example, chronic bee paralysis virus took only a decade to invade 39 of 47 English counties and 6 of 8 Welsh counties. In the U.S., the infection rate jumped from 0.7% in 2010 to 16% in 2014. Oh, wow. So this is an old thing, but spreading quite a bit. The findings published in Nature Communications suggests that the disease is twice as likely to infect commercially harvested bees, and that colonies not confined to close quarters might fare better. Quote, "You can't do social distancing in a hive as easily, but you can manage it by increasing the space in there," Professor Giles Budge told the website. So there you go, man. Coronavirus has got the bees.
Well, just in the same way that the bees act in a hive, maybe we can use the analogy for humans.
Oh, I'm just
we
picturing
cannot socially distance in the hive.
Cute little bee with a cute little bee mask. Obey.
I like some of the more on bees section here, the headlines here. I didn't click on the titles. Massive beehive stolen after it was removed from newly bought house. U.S. honeybees are doing better after bad year, even though this article says that they're not. I don't know how this has anything to do with bees, but flying robots with bubble guns could save the planet, study says. And urban beekeeper reveals his rooftop rescue and a beef with Martha Stewart.
More on bees.
More on bees. I didn't realize it was such a big thing, but I want them to live. Maybe we need a vaccine for the bees. You know,
we do. We need little bee masks. We need a vaccine for the bees, and we need the riot control bees to practice safe social distancing.
Yeah. Kind of along the lines here. I did want to.
Furious Cabbage in YouTube chat said "Beronavirus."
Beronavirus. So I saw that. Yeah.
You get the credit for that.
Yeah. The Locust Watch, FAO.org. That's the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Published this on July 3rd. Desert Locust Situation Update. And it says here, the unprecedented desert locust threat to food security and livelihoods persist in the Horn of Africa and is increasing in Southwest Asia. In the Horn of Africa, second-generation spring swarms are present in northwest Kenya, eastern Ethiopia, and parts of Somalia. Breeding continues in eastern and northern Ethiopia and in central and northern Somalia, where hopper bands are present. Most of the swarms in northwest Kenya will migrate northward and cross South Sudan to Sudan, while other swarms will migrate to Ethiopia. A few swarms could transit northeast Uganda. Swarms that concentrate in northern Somalia are likely to move east into the Indo-Pakistan summer breeding areas. And it just kind of goes into all of it here.
Yeah, so the locust swarm is continuing.
It's continuing, and I think it's going to cause or potentially cause some food shortages. I think that's part of the whole UN getting in there with all their technology and the not just like the crypto stuff, but the fake meat and all that. That could really the globalist meat.
Locusts are a good source of protein there. Whatever happened to the Chinese ducks? Remember the Chinese were breeding millions of ducks to set them free to eat all the locusts? Oh,
they lost.
Yeah, where are those ducks?
The humans ate them first. They're like, we have all these ducks, yummy ducks. I'm not going to waste them to eat locusts.
That reminds me, I saw a quote recently in a conversation about ducks that said something to the effect of all the, what was it? All the passions of man are nothing compared to the massive continuity of ducks. And it's talking about how, as humans, we strive all our lives, but ducks, for their entire history as a species, they just need a pond. They just need a pond and some bread, and they'll just keep ducking.
I mean, technically, humans can. All we need is some food and water, and we can keep.
No,
humaning.
Gons, we need to strive to become rich and famous and powerful.
Oh no.
Yeah. All right. What do you got?
I guess.
We will launch a new age.
That's right.
Humans defined by Trump.
COVID.
This is smdailyjournal.com, and we've been reporting on how South Africa was one of the testing grounds for the vaccine, which is our way of saying vaccine, but I guess it doesn't matter because YouTube algos hate us anyway. But the headline for this article, people protest against coronavirus vaccine trial in Africa. And this was published back in July 1st, 2020. And just the picture here of these South African people holding up signs. One of them says, #No to Gates poison. We don't want the gates of hell here. Another one, we not guinea pigs, no unsafe vaccine. So kind of get the sentiment there. Johannesburg. Protesters against the Africa's first COVID-19 vaccine trial burned their face masks Wednesday as experts note a worrying level of resistance and misinformation around testing on the continent. Hey, kind of sounds like here too. Anti-vaccine sentiment in Africa is, quote, the worst I've ever seen, the CEO of the Gavi Vaccine Alliance, Seth Berkley, told an African Union vaccine conference last week. Quote, in general, people in Africa know the disease and want to protect each other, he said. In this case, the rumor mill has been dramatic. The trial that began last week in Johannesburg is part of one already underway in Britain on the vaccine developed at the University of Oxford. We reported on that a couple episodes ago. Some 2,000 volunteers in South Africa are expected to take part. It's important that vaccines be tested in Africa to see how they perform in the local context, Professor of Vaccinology Shabir Madhi, leader of the new COVID-19 vaccine trial in South Africa, told reporters and others in the webinar Saturday. But the small band of demonstrators who gathered Wednesday at the University of the Witwatersrand, where the trial is based, reflect long-running fears among some in Africa over testing drugs on people who don't understand the risks. Quote, the people chosen as volunteers for the vaccination, they look as if they're from poor backgrounds, not qualified enough to understand. Protest organizer Fapano Pasha told the Associated Press ahead of the event, we believe they are manipulating the vulnerable. The activist and political commentator brought up the widely circulated remarks earlier this year by a French researcher, Jean-Paul Mira, who said, quote, if I can be provocative, shouldn't we be doing this study in Africa, where there are no masks, no treatments, no resuscitation? He compared it to some AIDS studies, quote, in prostitutes, we try things because we know that they are highly exposed and that they do not protect themselves. The narrative we got, this is a further quote, the narrative we got is our continent is a dumping ground, Fasha said. First, ensure the vaccines work elsewhere before bringing it to Africa, she added. I think we kind of get the point here of what the whole thing is. It's a little history.
Problem. And it's great to hear Africans standing up, because even African leaders of several African nations straight up, won't let Gates come in. Right. Because that's kind of the problem. Yeah, we developed this vaccine, and of course, Bill Gates has a history of testing his vaccines on African people. And of course, it comes, the twist, the spin doctor says that, yeah, we have this vaccine and we want to give it to the poor people in Africa because they really deserve it. But they give it to them before it's tested. And it sounds like the Africans are fed up with it. And that's great. Africa is not your testing ground for an unproven vaccine that you're gonna see how it works, see if it's dangerous, test it out, see what the numbers are on it before giving it to Americans. It's wrong. And it's the same reason why Gates is so hated in India. He pulled the same thing in India as well. So yeah, I mean, it's really sick. It's sick, man, the way that they do this. Why test it on people in Africa? Why even call it testing? I mean, it's just wrong. I don't like it.
It's wrong. And
I got friends over there. I've been over there. I got contacts, and I get this from them. I'm not making this up.
Yeah, I know. It says here a couple more paragraphs here in the article. As the pandemic picks up speed in Africa, health officials are urging that any vaccine be distributed equitably around the world. A quarter of all vaccines for other diseases are used in Africa, and yet the continent has little production capacity, putting its 1.3 billion people at risk of being near the end of the line for any COVID-19 vaccine. The new global attention to racial injustice creates a key time to act. The head of the Nigeria Center of Disease Control told the AU Vaccine Conference last week, quote, "If we don't use this moment when, for the better or worse, we have the political attention of people, we will regret it." Chikwe Ehekweazi said, "Africa must play a role in the new vaccine trials." The vice chancellor of the University of Cape Town, Momogeti Fakeng, oh my gosh, I did not curse. That is his name, Fakeng. And their chair of South Africa's Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Thokozani Majosi, wrote this month in the Sunday Times newspaper. They too brought up the French researchers' comments, and they criticized the calls for an African-only approach to finding a vaccine, saying it would pull the continent even further from the global stage. It would be tragic. This is a quote. "It would be tragic if Africa chose not to take part at all levels in clinical trials of a COVID-19 vaccine or any medical treatment that could save lives," they said. And it's, some of the leaders are in bed with these globalist organizations here, and they have money tied up, and they have to side with them. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's just it's a bad situation, I think. But I'm glad people are standing up. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know that it's going to make that much of a difference, though. It's the same with America.
Well, notice how even in this article, they put the spin saying, let me see here. Where is it? In general, people in Africa know the diseases. In this case, the rumor mill has been dramatic. They talk about how there's a huge anti-vax movement in Africa, and then they say, "Oh, but it was just a small band of
group." Yeah,
it's just a small group who say that who holding up signs like. Well, which is it? Is it a big group or a little group? It's only a big group when you characterize it as false information or a growing conspiracy theory, but it's a small group when they are actually, showing up and making a statement.
People in the chat are making fun of me. They're saying that I should be canceled because I said a bad word. Why don't you try saying this word, Basil? This name here.
Which one?
That I highlighted. It's in the third to last paragraph.
Okay, hold on. Let me pick it up. And try. 1, 2, 3. Africa must play a role in new vaccine trials. The vice chancellor of the University of Cape Town, Momogeti Fakeng. I think I did a great job.
Faking. It still sounds like I'm like a, just fresh off the boat saying it. Faking.
Canceled. Gonz is canceled.
I'm canceled.
And while we're on the subject, let's hit this next article.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
All right, Gonz, a little update on the contact tracing. New York County issues subpoenas to people refusing to talk to contact tracers.
Yikes.
That's right, folks. Open your doors. Let the snitches in, or else you get subpoenaed.
Gosh.
The article reads, officials in New York's Rockland County said Wednesday they are being forced to issue subpoenas. What? Officials are being forced to issue subpoenas to compel people to speak to contact tracers about a coronavirus outbreak because they are not speaking voluntarily. That's America for you, folks. You're
America.
free. You're free until you're not.
Yeah.
The county's health commissioner, Patricia Rupert, said at a news conference that subpoenas are being issued to 8 people who were infected at a recent party in Clarkstown, New York, north of New York City, but who are refusing to cooperate with contact tracers seeking to interview them to determine who else they were in contact with and could be at risk of spreading the virus. The drastic step of issuing subpoenas in a contact tracing investigation illustrates a problem officials have cited around the country, that many people are not answering their phones or cooperating when contact tracers try to talk to them. No kidding, because this is America. I don't need to talk to contact tracers. Get a warrant, contact tracer. Public health officials say contact tracing is a key step in slowing the spread of coronavirus. The process interviews infected people about who they may have been in contact with, so those people can be notified and asked to quarantine for 14 days to prevent further spread of the virus. Rupert said the host of the party in question was symptomatic with coronavirus, but held the party anyway. Terrorist. At least 8 people have been infected, and officials are trying to figure out if more were exposed. Quote, we are not receiving the necessary cooperation when we contact those who are positive for COVID-19 or those who have been at some of these gatherings, Rupert said. My staff has been told that a person does not wish to or have to speak to my disease investigators. Okay. My staff has been told that a person does not wish to or have to speak to my disease investigators. They hang up. They deny being at the party, even though we have found their name from another party attendee or a parent provides us with the information. Quote, many do not answer their cell phones and do not call back, she added. Sometimes parents answer for their adult children and promise that they have been... You're calling my mom, bro?
Mom.
Sometimes... Mom, I told you. Don't tell the contact tracers where I live. Sometimes parents answer for their adult children and promise that they have been home consistently. Oh, mama's got your back. When they have not... Okay, I'm sorry. I keep chopping this up. Let me read it in total. Sometimes parents answer for their adult children and promise that they have been home consistently when they have not been. This must stop. Mama's covering for you. That's a good mom right there. Do you have the mom jingle handy?
Yeah, hang on. Let me pull it up here. I think I got it right here.
Other, there is no other like mother. So treat her right. Come on.
That's right. That's right. Mama's not going to give you up. The frustrations have now led to subpoenas, she said. Quote, Mama can't protect you from the subpoena.
I like how, imagine that conversation, you know, these mothers, what are we going to do? Subpoenas.
All these moms are being moms.
Oh, jeez.
Quote, unfortunately, I'm now forced by these circumstances to send subpoenas to the individuals who are required to cooperate with us. Oh my gosh, this official sounds like a baby. Rupert said, failure to comply will be costly. $2,000 per day. Yeah, right, bro. Try it. Try it. Ed Day, the county executive, added that officials are not looking to get anyone in trouble, only to speak to them to find out who else might be infected to help slow the spread of the virus. Quote, we want people to do the right thing for their neighbors and voluntarily speak to health officials, he said, but are resorting to subpoenas when that did not happen. He said he will not, quote, have the health of our county compromised because of ignorance, stupidity, or obstinance. Wow. Yeah. Those are strong words coming from a county official.
Snitches get stitches.
This is crazy.
Right. So there you go. Legal action being taken for those who are not talking to the snitches.
I don't know. I guess this is like expected to some degree, but.
Well, they've been threatening this, but it's crazy to actually see it happening.
I mean, are they really going to start charging people $2,000 a day?
That's a lot of money,
I don't know. What are you going to get?
Good luck.
That's my analysis.
Good luck. Good analysis.
It's just stupid. I don't know. I get out of New York, maybe.
Yeah. All right.
I know people have been saying that about where I am. More COVID news. I got a couple articles on this. I'm going to read the CNN one because it's CNN. It's always, interesting to see what they have to say about it. Edition.cnn.com. Study finds hydroxychloroquine may have boosted survival, but other researchers have doubts.
Ooh, yes, of course. And if you haven't been on the hydroxychloroquine roller coaster, just to catch you up, it was an experimental process, giving it to people with COVID early on, mixed with other things like zinc and azithromycin. Doctors were saying that it was having great what is the word I'm looking for? Great results if you catch it early with a COVID patient. Then Trump got on board and suddenly it was a horrible idea. Don't take it. Anthony Fauci actually said you will die if you take hydroxychloroquine. And of course, we know he has a big hand in Gilead, the makers of remdesivir, which quickly took the public attention away from hydroxychloroquine. And the Trump administration has bought 500,000 doses at $3,200 a piece of remdesivir to make it available to Americans. But CNN coming out. Got the spin doctors on hydroxychloroquine again.
Spin doctors, and of course, since you mentioned Fauci, we know that Fauci is the king of science.
Science is truth.
Science is truth.
Remember, this is CNN. A surprising new study found the controversial anti-malarial drug hydroxychloroquine helped patients better survive in the hospital. But the findings, like the federal government's use of the drug itself, were disputed. A team at Henry Ford Health System in southeast Michigan said Thursday their study of 2,541 hospitalized patients found that those given hydroxychloroquine were much less likely to die. Dr. Marcus Zervos, division head of infectious disease for Henry Ford Health System, said 26% of those not given hydroxychloroquine died compared to 13% of those who got the drug. The team looked back at everyone treated in the hospital system since the first patient in March. Quote, overall crude mortality rates were 18.1% in the entire cohort, 13.5% in the hydroxychloroquine alone group, 20.1% among those receiving hydroxychloroquine plus azithromycin, 22.4% among the azithromycin alone group, and 26.4% for neither drug. The team wrote in a report published in the International Journal of Infectious Diseases.
So that's a 14% difference from hydroxychloroquine from the nothing drug.
Right. It's a surprising finding because several other studies have found no benefit from hydroxychloroquine, a drug originally developed to treat and prevent malaria. President Donald Trump touted the drug heavily, but later studies found not only did patients not do better if they got the drug, they were more likely to suffer cardiac side effects. That's a nice little sidestep. Like, oh, you're going to get cardiac side effects from it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Fauci and Cuomo both came out and said, don't take it. You're going to die of a heart attack.
Yeah. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration withdrew its emergency use authorization for the drug earlier this month, and trials around the world, including trials sponsored by the World Health Organization and the National Institute of Health, were halted. Researchers not involved in the Henry Ford study pointed out it wasn't of the same quality of the studies showing hydroxychloroquine did not help patients, and said other treatments, such as the use of the steroid dexamethasone, is that how you say it? Might have accounted for the better survival of some patients. Quote, Our results do differ from other studies, Zervos told a news conference. What we think was important in ours is that patients were treated early. For hydroxychloroquine to have a benefit, it needs to begin before the patients begin to suffer some of the severe immune reactions that patients can have with COVID. He added, which kind of just as a commentary and something that people had pointed out early on in this whole COVID thing. Why aren't they telling us how to strengthen our immune system in general? Why is it always a vaccine or a chemical to help the process? Not like, hey,
because remdesivir is $3,200, man. You gotta get the money, baby.
Money. The Henry Ford team also monitored patients carefully for heart problems. He said, quote, the combination of hydroxychloroquine plus azithromycin was reserved for selected patients with severe COVID-19 and with minimal cardiac risk factors, the team wrote. The Henry Ford team said they believe their findings showed hydroxychloroquine could be potentially useful as a treatment for coronavirus. Quote, it's important to note that in the right settings, this potentially could be a lifesaver for patients. Dr. Stephen Kalkanis, CEO of the Henry Ford Medical Group, said at the news conference. Kalkanis said that their findings do not necessarily contradict those of earlier studies. Quote, we also want to make the point that just because our results differ from some others that may have been published, it doesn't make those studies wrong or definitely a conflict. What it simply means is that by looking at the nuanced data of which patients actually benefited and when, we might be able to further unlock the code of how this disease works, he said.
Unlock the code.
Much more work needs to be done to elucidate what the final treatment plan should be for COVID-19, Kalkanis added. But we feel that these are critically important results to add to the mix of how we move forward if there's a second surge. I thought we were already in the second surge.
That's yeah, we are. But,
allegedly, messed up numbers and, CDC changing the way they measure it and stuff. But we are in the second surge. And in relevant to other parts of the world, now we can help people combat this disease and to reduce the mortality rate. And that's enough CNN right there. I don't think we need to necessarily go on. But there you go. Hydroxychloroquine study shows that it does help. Although CNN trying to... I don't know. It's kind of funny. They're sort of trying to sound center of the, kind of middle ground. But
yeah, well, it is interesting that they would even print this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Only because I think, the optics of the scientific, they made science the champion, the king, the truth. And when there's scientific evidence,
it goes against,
when there's scientific evidence that goes against their political,
that's the crazy thing.
Stance,
yeah, science is truth unless it disagrees with Fauci.
Yeah, exactly. And then they got to kind of wishy-washy, go back and forth, not clear. Although they report on it, but continue to suggest that it was a particular kind of research and particular conditions that allowed for this hydroxychloroquine to work.
You know what would be valuable is going into the financial history of that Henry Ford research.
Oh, I'm sure
center,
somebody's done it.
Hospital. Yeah,
I'm sure somebody has done it.
Of course, Johns Hopkins, has CIA connections and is, highly funded by organizations that are, coming from the left side of the aisle. I wonder if this Henry Ford Hospital is a right-leaning organization or maybe not, maybe independent. Who knows?
Yeah.
Be interesting to see. All right. Well, speaking of which, I'm over here on some place called offguardian.org talking about some more COVID, baby. COVID. Now, this is interesting. I've never seen offguardian.org before, so I don't know anything about the outlet, but I think this article kind of will tell you something about it. The article's titled, quote, "No one has died from the coronavirus," end quote. A high-profile European pathologist is reporting that he and his colleagues across Europe have not found any evidence of any deaths from the novel coronavirus. Now,
on that continent.
The front, yes, on that continent. Now, you gotta, those listening can't see this, but the word from is italicized.
Yeah.
So this is a high-profile European pathologist is reporting that he and his colleagues across Europe have not found any evidence of any deaths from the novel coronavirus on that continent. Let's see what they mean. Dr. Stoyan Alexov, Russians, man, called the World Health Organization a criminal medical organization for creating worldwide fear and chaos without providing objectively verifiable truth of a pandemic. Another stunning revelation from Bulgaria. Oh, it's Bulgaria. Another stunning revelation from Bulgarian Pathology Association, BPA, President Dr. Alexov is that he believes it's currently impossible to create a vaccine against the virus. He also revealed that European pathologists haven't identified any antibodies that are specific for SARS-CoV-2. These stunning statements raise major questions, including about officials and scientists' claims regarding the many vaccines they're rushing into clinical trials around the world, such as Africa. They also raised doubt about the veracity of claims of discovery of anti-novel coronavirus antibodies, which are beginning to be used to treat patients. Novel coronavirus-specific antibodies are supposedly the basis for expensive serology test kits being used in many countries, some of which have been found to be unacceptably inaccurate. In fact, Gons, we read a story a couple episodes ago, or maybe it was last episode, about a whole shipment of tons of fake coronavirus tests being brought internationally.
Weren't they well, yeah, they were fake, and wasn't there another one that had like positive tests, like prior to pre-positive tests.
Yeah. And they're purportedly key to the immunity certificates coveted by Bill Gates that are about to go into widespread use in the form of the COVID pass in 15 countries, including the UK, US, and Canada. Yikes. Dr. Alexov made his jaw-dropping observation in a video interview summarizing the consensus of participants in a May 8th, 2020 European Society of Pathology webinar on COVID-19. The May 13th video interview of Dr. Alexov was conducted by Dr. Stoyko Katsarov, chair of the Center for Protection of Citizens' Rights in Sofia, and a former Bulgarian deputy minister of health. The video is on the BPA's website, which also highlights some of Dr. Alexov's main points. We asked a native Bulgarian speaker with a science background to orally translate the video interview into English. We then transcribed her translation. The video is here, and her English transcript is here. Again, just a reminder to everybody, all the links to the stories that we cover are available on canarycrynewstalk.com. You can also listen to the podcast version, but I do recommend that everybody go there and copy all these links and put them in your own little research document folder there, because you want to get the links to these videos and this English transcript of the video. Continuing, among the major bombshells Dr. Alexov dropped is that the leaders of the May 8th ESP webinar said no novel coronavirus-specific antibodies have been found. The body forms antibodies specific to pathogens it encounters. These specific antibodies are known as monoclonal antibodies and are a key tool in pathology. This is done via immunohistochemistry, which involves tagging antibodies with colors and then coating the biopsy or autopsy tissue slides with them. After giving the antibodies time to bind to the pathogens they're specific for, the pathologists can look at the slides under a microscope and see the specific places where the colored antibodies and therefore the pathogens they're bound to are located. Therefore, in the absence of monoclonal antibodies to the novel coronavirus, pathologists cannot verify whether SARS-CoV-2 is present in the body or whether the disease and deaths attributed to it indeed were caused by the virus rather than by something else. It would be easy to dismiss Dr. Alexov as just another crank conspiracy theorist. After all, many people believe they're everywhere these days, spreading dangerous misinformation about COVID-19 and other issues. In addition, little of what Dr. Alexov alleges was the consensus from the May 8th webinar is in the publicly viewable parts of the proceedings, but keep in mind that whistleblowers often stand alone because the vast majority of people are afraid to speak out publicly. Also, Dr. Alexov has an unimpugnable record and reputation. He's been a physician for 30 years. He's president of the BPA, a member of ESP's advisory board, and head of histopathology department at the oncology hospital in the Bulgarian capital of Sofia. On top of that, there's other support for what Dr. Alexov is saying. For example, the director of the Institute of Forensic Medicine at the University Medical Center in Hamburg-Eppendorf in Germany said in media interviews that there's a striking dearth of solid evidence for COVID-19's lethality. Quote, COVID-19 is a fatal disease only in exceptional cases, but in most cases, it is a predominantly harmless viral infection, Dr. Klaus Puschel told the German paper in April, adding in another interview, quote, in quite a few cases, we have also found that the current corona infection has nothing whatsoever to do with the fatal outcome because other causes of death are present. For example, a brain hemorrhage or a heart attack. COVID-19 is not particularly dangerous viral disease. All speculation about individual deaths that have not been expertly examined only fuel anxiety. Yeah, and this goes on. It's actually a rather long article that goes on for about 100 more paragraphs. Did you see anything else in there that would be of utmost importance that isn't covered in the first half here?
No, I think the stuff I had highlighted, you already passed.
Yeah.
But I do want to read this quote here. This is from Dr. Alexov talking about Bill Gates. And he said, quote, we need to see exactly how the law will deal with immunization and that vaccines that we're all talking about, because I'm certain it's currently not possible to create a vaccine against COVID. I'm not sure what exactly Bill Gates is doing with his laboratories. Is it really a vaccine he's producing or something else?
Ooh.
I mean, the point that
Sounds
he's
like
even
a conspiracy theory to me, Gons.
But the fact that this guy, this well-established guy is questioning what Bill Gates is even doing in his science laboratories. I mean, is there no way to vet this?
No, because Bill Gates is our savior, apparently.
And science is truth. If science is truth, then what about what this guy's saying, who's a well-respected, man in science?
The sad thing is, and this is the really sad part about this, is it's because he's Bulgarian. It's because he's from Bulgaria that Americans who, the world is centered around us, and we'd rather believe whoever's lying to us in America than believe a 30-year veteran physician and head of this and that other thing because he's from Bulgaria.
Yeah.
That's the sad truth.
It is true.
We don't believe any scientist that isn't from the US or the UK, and then we test fake drugs on Africans. It's wrong.
Yeah, everything's wrong. And I had this clip ready. I don't know what happened to it. But he's going heavy against, or heavy into the WHO, the World Health Organization. And over the last week here, there was a clip that came out that from the World Health Organization of a lady who basically said that it's not, I can't remember the specific words she used because it was sort of sciencey, but basically saying that it's not as contagious as we're making it out to be. And it was carried around because it was the WHO, it was the World Health Organization, basically coming out and saying like, yeah, it's not as scary as we're making it out to be.
The current transmissibility rate, and there's another word for it that I forget off the top of my head, is 1.6, I think. So everybody who gets it will give it to 1.6 other people, which is, I believe, right about on par with the flu.
Yeah, here it is right here. This was tweeted by Beach Milk. But the clip
Nice.
here We'll play a part of it here.
Data we have, it still seems to be rare that an asymptomatic person actually transmits onward to a secondary individual.
I didn't quite get that. Can I hear that one more time? I'm serious. I could not tell what you just said.
That's a Newsmax reporter here. getting pretty sarcastic there.
Did she respond?
From the data we have, it still seems to be rare that an asymptomatic person actually transmits onward to a secondary individual.
Right.
That's the quote. And I think they have another Dr. David Samadi in here to kind of comment on it and break it down. Do you want to hear that part?
Yeah, they had to take it They had to take it back. It was like that the next speaker or someone had to be like, no, don't listen to her.
Yeah. But anyway, again, when you have comments like
science is truth,
we're talking about a religious thing here. This is not true science. This is a political
scientism.
Scientism. This is a scientific dictatorship, the technocracy, whatever you want to label it. That's what it is. It's scientific elitism. And now that it's become politicized, no one's really free from, having a spin.
And that was my experience on my 4th of July experience. It was
yes.
I started off with the conversation about the study in the Baltimore Sun about how the protests helped slow the coronavirus,
right.
Tens of thousands of people being not social distancing and chanting and spraying their germs all over each other was safer than people not doing that, and brought up the but outdoor weddings, that's a death sentence type of thing, and ran through all the numbers with them and ran through all of it. And I was trying to do it in a truth bomb way, like, hey, this doesn't make any sense, right? Like this is social engineering. This is wrong. They're like, no, actually that makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. Like, no, you're missing the point.
Oh my gosh. What kind of normies were you hanging out with? It sounds like they're normies, like mind controlled.
That's what a normie is.
Like the reptilians are like bleep, 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 bleep. You're like trying to drop truth bombs and they're like bleep, bleep, bleep. Irrational brain connection.
Yeah. Do not comprehend logic.
Defend idiocy. Yeah. So I don't know. This whole thing, there is no consensus amongst the people in science.
Right.
You only have a alleged consensus with certain figures that are placed in front of us from world organizations that are suggesting one thing or another and wear masks, and most of it politicians that are bought and paid for locally in your states or whatever. So the whole thing is frustrating.
Yeah. One thing that is not that frustrating is that we are number 2 right now on the Twitch podcast category.
I think it's our thumbnail.
Nice. Yeah,
our thumbnail grabbed people's attention.
People love it. It's great. Thanks. Welcome everybody who's coming in from the Twitch category here. We are number 2, and the people in number 1 spot have less viewers than us. So I'm not sure how this is ranked. But maybe if we get more viewers, we can pop into that number 1 spot. So if you're over on YouTube, head to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Let's try to get into that number 1 spot over on Twitch.
And this is a particular sub category in Twitch, right? Not all Twitch people.
Yes,
not all
it's
Twitch streams.
Subcategory talk shows and podcasts.
Right. Okay.
And
just want to clear that up because we got the shill thing. You guys are number top 3 in the Twitch stream. You guys are shills.
Oh yeah, no, we can't top off some of the other categories that the top viewerships have like 8,000 viewers at a time. Yeah. But in our category, we're number 2, and I think if we get a handful more people coming over from YouTube, we can hit number 1, folks. Let's help spread the truth. That's another reason why it's good to leave ratings and reviews and also watch on Twitch, is because YouTube, we're shadow banned. We're not not put on any lists. We're not suggested to anybody. Twitch still suggests our show to people, and the more viewers we have on Twitch, it'll suggest it to more people. And when they go to talk shows and podcasts, they'll see us at number one, and they'll tune in and get the truth, folks. So you can actively help spread the truth by watching on Twitch. So head to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Gons, if you want to pop that link in there one more time, see if we can get another nice little chunk of people. Hit number one, baby. But until that happens, let's hit this last COVID story.
COVID. And this is a wallstreetjournal.com article, and I don't have the full article as usual.
Neither do I.
Yeah, it's called...
I thought you had it.
I don't.
Well,
it's okay. We'll mention it. And
okay.
The image there is pretty interesting, too, for people that are watching. Rethinking the hospital for the next pandemic. They're setting us up for the next pandemic, which we'll get into with the whole China story in the next segment there. What the parts where we can read of this article, hospitals are rethinking how they operate in light of the COVID-19 pandemic and preparing for a future where such crisis may become a grim fact of life. Of course they are. With the potential for resurgence of the coronavirus and some scientists warning about outbreaks from other infectious diseases, hospitals don't want to be caught flat-footed again. So, more of them are turning to new protocols and new technology to overhaul standard operating procedure from the time patients show up at an emergency room through admission, treatment, and discharge. And were you able to find this on another?
I'm pulling up a couple links right now.
Because
yes, I think I have it. Yeah.
Good, because I want to know.
Yeah, it got mirrored over on apkmetro.com. I'm not sure exactly where you stopped, but I'll just go for it here.
It's I stopped after the second episode about treatment and discharge.
The paragraph. Yeah. Okay. With the potential for resurgences of the coronavirus and a few scientists warning about outbreaks of different infectious illnesses, hospitals don't wish to be caught flat-footed once more. So extra of them. Oh gosh.
What?
So extra of them are turning to new protocols and new expertise to overtake customary.
I wonder. Interesting. I wonder if they did that to try to
throw off some algos.
Throw off the algos, yeah. Because in this one it says so more of them are turning to new protocols and new technology.
Yeah, interesting. So they must have changed it a little bit so they could steal it from the Wall Street Journal. That's fun. Well, let's see what else.
Typo.
Oh, yay.
It's
we
our
get
typo.
to use the typo there. From the time sufferers present up to the emergency room by means of admission, remedy, and discharge, they're discovering methods to triage and examine in sufferers remotely, quarantine the contaminated in separate services, and scale back bodily contact with caregivers to stop the unfold of illness. And they're enhancing follow-up with previously contaminated sufferers and others to search for pink flags of illness.
What? Dude, whoever
I don't know if this is gonna
that
work,
had to be
man.
red flag, right? They had to have changed that from red flag. I mean, that is brilliant. Someone went in there and was like, "Hey, we'll just change a couple words here and there. Red flag, pink flag,
pink flag."
Oh my gosh.
Okay, we'll keep going. We'll see if we can make it through this. It might be too ridiculous, but
yeah. Well, that's always better.
Yeah. The goal is to have the ability to isolate and deal with infectious sufferers, whereas persevering with to supply different. Okay. The goal is to have the ability to isolate and deal with infectious sufferers, whereas persevering with to supply different very important providers that hold folks wholesome and convey within the income hospitals desperately to have hold their doorways open. No, this isn't going to work.
They're really scared of the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah,
they're going to come after them or something.
They thought they were going to get away with stealing this article, but it can't be done. Shoot. Well,
we get the idea. They're trying to restructure the whole infrastructure.
Yeah, they're trying to make autonomous hospitals, basically, that don't have, right now you have nurses walking around all the time taking care of people. They're looking for ways to not need human beings. It's kind of a flippy update. So
it is kind of a flippy update. It's also, it's definitely, oh gosh, where is my jingle?
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people zoo.
That's
totally
right.
people zoo situation.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. All right.
Well, we knew this from the get-go with the whole, I mean, that was like our first reaction to the whole lockdown and Corona, and the whole deal was, they're going to roll out the robots. They're going to roll out the technology, the vaccines and whatnot. But I mean, that was my first reaction to the whole thing, was like, they're getting ready to really roll out like the machines and all that kind of stuff and up that game. And certainly we're seeing the, I guess the pressures.
Yeah, robotic nurses to check up on patients, telemedicine from the other room so they don't, have to come in contact. And I'm reading through the rest of this article, the bootlegged version. And,
it's a bootleg.
And it just gets worse as it goes through. Yeah, it just gets worse. Okay, well, we'll skip that one. We'll look for something for next show. Okay. Apologize, but that was pretty funny. Yeah, you might need... Okay. All right. Well, with that, Gons, I think it's time we take one more short little break here before we finish out the show. There's going to be a bunch of Chinese news, folks, so don't go anywhere.
And a Nephilim update.
Yes, quick break, and then we got the news on the China-U.S. Cold War going on. We got some bubonic plague popping up. Also, some banking problems in China, which is spooky because, I don't know, that's the type of thing that we keep hearing people talk about over here. So we'll see how that's playing out in China, as well as a Nephilim update. So don't go anywhere. We're just going to take a quick break.
It's break time.
That's right. We're just going to take a real quick break. And I want to start off this quick break, Gons, by thanking some new Twitch followers real quick.
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
Dinger is ready.
Okay. I'm going to start out with Flat Earth Dude.
All right. Flat Earth Dude.
Thank you very much, Flat Earth Dude. We got Jazz 102 Z Jazz.
Jazzy.
It's like a radio station. Welcome to Jazz 102 Z Jazz. We got Becca Adams 81.
Thank you, Becca.
Soulfit 7. Edmax 69. Anonymous Cosmonaut. Saw Anonymous Cosmonaut in the chat. Thanks for being here, buddy. Fruitful Mind. And that is it. Those are all our new ones. So thank you very much for following us on the show. Now, here is the thing, folks. I want to remind you that we are on the value for value model. What does that mean? That's kind of a homogenous term. Well, usually with podcasting, and I remember this is okay. I wanted to talk to you about this, Gons. I thought about this, and I meant to text this to you before the weekend, and I just forgot. When you and I first started podcasting, almost 10 years ago now, and we were using company property to record the early episodes of Canary Cry Radio. We got in trouble, and our boss at the time, he had a conversation with us, or with me. I believe you were there.
I was there.
And he said first of all, he said what we do is not kingdom work, which was hurtful, and we showed you, boss.
I remember his name too. Should I say his name?
No,
First
I thought
name?
about it too.
Yeah,
we'll call him Ted.
We'll call him Normie.
No, call him Normie Ted.
Ted.
And Ted, he also said that podcasts weren't good for anything except for marketing. Meaning, do you remember him saying that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, he said they're only good for marketing, meaning that the only reason for podcasts is to advertise. And that's what they're good for. That's their economic ideal, is to advertise, which now is so sad because, as we know, and if you're a listener of this show, you need to take this to heart, advertising is mind control. And when a podcast or any show, any content creator for that matter, gains your trust and your eyeballs and your attention and turns around and sells that to a company to advertise to you, they are turning you into a product, and we don't believe in that. We do not consider you guys products for us to sell to companies, and we do not believe in the brainwashing practices of advertising. And that is what's wrong with the world. That's what's turned content creation into the mess that it is. And we are very happy and proud to subscribe to the value for value model. Now, what does that mean? It means we create value. We put out this show for you. We do it like 9 hours a week of content, which is incredible. Still stuns me that we're able to do that much. And then it's your chance. You have the opportunity to put value back in. You put in what you get out of it. And conversely, I think you get what you put into it. And both of those are true. And what we're going to do is take a second to thank some of our new producers. That's right. We don't take donations. We're not a 501c3, meaning we can say whatever we want. We don't do advertisements. Can you imagine us saying the things we say and having to convince an advertiser not to take their money away from us?
We can only do certain types of products that I don't know would be beneficial necessarily.
We'd have to do male enhancement pills or something like Alex Jones. But we don't do that, okay?
Hey, Alex Jones, he self-brands, okay?
Hey, he makes about $10 million a year, or he did at one point. So
oh my gosh, he was making $10 million selling that stuff?
He figured something out. Yeah, he was making a lot of money.
We should just do that. We should put a white label some stuff. Just whatever people are into. It doesn't matter. We just Canary Cry it.
Canary Cry
sell it to you.
Male vitality pills.
Break the cage.
No. We don't believe in that. What we do, we don't have donors. We have producers, because this is the real world. Yeah. And in the real world, if you help pay for a production of a show, whether it's television or radio, you are a producer of the show. And Gons, we've got some new producers since our last show. What day was our last show? Was that July 1st?
July 1st, yeah.
Okay. So I'm over here on patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. And I want to thank our new producers. You ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Gong ready.
Gong is ready. We actually have an upgraded producer, a very generous upgraded producer, Anthony G. Thank you very much, Anthony G. We appreciate it. We've got our new producer, Andrew. Thank you very much, Andrew. And we've got a new producer named Robert. Thank you so much, Robert. Robbie.
No, I said Bobby. Bobby, come
Bobby.
on. Bob.
Okay. Well, who knows? He might go by either.
Yeah.
So those are producers who chose to go to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. We also have patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. Mm-hmm. And over there, I want to thank, lots of deletions over there. We have one new producer over there, and their name is Baya.
Oops, Baya. There we go.
Thank you very much, Baya. We appreciate you. Those are our new producers over on the Patreon accounts, patreon.com/CCNT. And please consider, if you get any value out of this show, or you want to get more value, head over to patreon.com/CCNT. We'll throw the link it's both in the show notes as well as the chat here in a moment. And you too can become a producer of Canary Cry News Talk. But if you don't like Patreon, you can head over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. And over there at canarycryradio.com/support, there are other ways to support the show. Some people don't like Patreon, and that's okay. Over there, on canarycryradio.com/support, we have PayPal, where you can sign up for a monthly support option, or you can give in one-time amounts. There's also options for cryptocurrency there if you're into that. So please check that out. Gons, do we have any new PayPal producers?
We do, Coming in, we have Joseph as a producer.
Thank you very much, Joseph.
We have Josh also coming in.
Thank you very much, Josh.
And I'm going to give a shout out to this person because they have a pretty big recurring monthly support. Lynn. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you very much, Lynn.
Not our Dame Lynn. Different
Not
Lynn.
Dame Lynn, yeah.
Yeah, different Lynn. And also William. Thank you, William.
Thank you very much,
William. Support. And William actually wrote in I'm going to say a poem.
Okay.
So I'm going to read the poem. Are you ready?
Ooh, poem. If you're this is content. He's a producer producing content.
I was hoping for a longer rain ambiance.
Okay.
Street ambiance, maybe. No, I don't like street ambiance. Okay. I was trying to get a little atmosphere going, but I don't know if that's going to be possible here.
Here, I'll do one for you.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. I'm inspired to take flight, not retired in the fight. Donations within sight, steady rotation, God's light. Inquired to make right, Jesus said, knock, you'll be alright. David with the rock, Goliath's big knife, like a missile, lock. God told him, good night.
Very good.
Oops.
Woo! Who was that? Was that William?
That was William.
William, thank you very much, William, for both your donation and your content. We appreciate you very much. And you out there, everybody listening, you have the opportunity to become a producer of Canary Cry News Talk. You can do so by going to patreon.com/ccnt or patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. And one last time, you can head to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
Streams in the desert.
Thank you, sir.
Streams in the desert, and the chap said Canary Cry catnip. Somebody must have said Canary. They're coming up with product lines for us, and Canary Cry
like
catnip might be.
Good. I can grow some of that in my backyard here.
Oh boy!
Yeah. So thank you to all our producers. And just as a reminder, we also have the Canary Cry Radio Roundtable of Knights and Dames. And we've been knighting and daming producers for 4 or 5 or 6 episodes now, which is very exciting. A little sad to say for today, there is no knightings or damings, so no new members of the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. And the Canary Cry Roundtable is our the elite squadron of producers who have supported the show in the amount of $1,000 or more. There are some people working on it, and you can be one of them. And when you reach the level of $1,000 or more, you will be knighted on the show, much like Sir Tyler, I believe, was the most recent knight. It was, let's see, what was his name? No, I forget. Sir Tyler. Oh, we got to put together a sheet, a list of all of the knights and dames, so we know how to properly refer to them.
If you go to canarycryradio.com/knighthood, if you scroll all the way down, you will see the 6 knights and dames that we've had. Yes. So I'll put that up on the screen here. So yes, we have Dame Island Girl Lynn, Sir Greg of the 5 Smooth Stones, Knight of Resilient Truth, Sir Casey, Knight Marshal of the Aether, Sir Jesse, Knight of the Desert, Sir Edward, Knight of the Truth and Marshal for Jesus Christ, and Sir Tyler, Guns Protector of the Cornfields. So there you go. These are our knights and dames.
That's
only
right.
one dame so far, though.
Only one dame. We need the dames to step up. We need more dames. Okay, well, very good. So yeah, no knights or dames today, but there's always next show which is this Wednesday. Remember, we do shows on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. And this Wednesday is no exception. We'll be doing the show probably around 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock
Pacific time.
PM Pacific time. So put your calendar, set your calendar, set your alarm clock, make sure your notifications are turned on, and Wednesday afternoon will be the next show. So stick around for that. Ooh, and we have a visitor, Gons. You want to say hi to our little visitor? There he is, kitty? Monty 3 in the house. He came and he jumped up and clawed my leg really good.
We had someone in the last video comment on the YouTube channel, of course. They came in and said, like the video until the cat ruined the whole thing.
Oh, that cute kitten ruined the whole show. Which was like 2 minutes in.
2 minutes in, and the cat showed up for 10 seconds. Yeah, I don't know. People just get triggered for maybe he got attacked by a cat when he was younger or something.
Yeah, you never know. He could have had a traumatic experience triggered by a cute kitten.
You know what I'm triggered by?
No.
China.
Oh, welcome to Chinese Show.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
This is Bloomberg Opinion. We're going to get right back into it here. Did you have anything else to say? Sorry, I just kind of moved into it.
No, you're good.
All right. America and China are entering the dark forest.
Uh-oh.
I know. The dark forest. I love this picture they have here of, I think it's Chinese military in like sailor outfits.
Real quick, before you get too deep into the story, I want to give a shout out to Daddy Fauci in the chat, who suggests Canary Cry Cologne smell like the truth.
Oh,
yeah,
it writes itself. That is, we have the best producers. You guys come up with the best ideas for us.
The think tank, the producer tank.
The thing is, we're not going to act on half of those. No, 99% of those ideas we will not act on. So if anybody wants to step it up and act on behalf of us and actually come up with it, we will share revenues.
Yes,
with
create
you.
Canary Cry Cologne and just, send us a check every once in a while.
Yeah. You have our permission to use our name. As long as we get the small cut, right? I mean, even if we don't, whatever. It's
I don't know.
Story
if
of our
anybody out there wants to
actually
life. Take on the task of creating and maintaining Canary Cry merch sales, I would say just go ahead and do it and send us a cut, but send us an email first. That'd be nice just to know.
Yeah.
Because we tried maintaining that whole system and we just can't do it. We're just two guys.
We are definitely not.
So we could use some help. That'd be a great way to get your producership, is to help us do that.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us about the Cold War.
So entering a dark forest. Here we go. We are in the foothills of a Cold War. Those were the words of Henry Kissinger when I interviewed him at Bloomberg New Economy Forum in Beijing last month. Do I need to read any more of this article? Henry Kissinger saying we're in the foothills of a Cold War speaking to Bloomberg at the New Economy Forum in Beijing last November. The observation in itself was not wholly startling. It had seemed obvious to me since early last year that that a new Cold War between the U.S. and China had begun. This insight wasn't just based on interviews with elder statesmen. Counterintuitive as it may seem, I had picked up the idea from binge reading Chinese science fiction.
Ooh,
this guy's so awesome. First, the history. What had started out in early 2018 as a trade war over tariffs and intellectual property theft had by the end of the year metamorphosed. That's what I thought, but it says metamorphosed into a technology war over the global dominance of the Chinese company Huawei Technologies Co. and 5G network telecommunications, an ideological confrontation in response to Beijing's treatment of the Uyghur minority in China's Xinjiang region and the pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong, and an escalation of old frictions over Taiwan and the South China Sea. Nevertheless, For Kissinger, of all people, to acknowledge that we are in the opening phase of Cold War II was remarkable. Was it really? I don't think it was. But maybe for this guy here. Since his first secret visit to Beijing in 1971, Kissinger has been the master builder of that policy of U.S.-Chinese engagement, which, for 45 years, was a leitmotif of U.S. foreign policy. It fundamentally altered the balance of power at the midpoint of the Cold War to the disadvantage of the Soviet Union. It created the geopolitical conditions for China's Industrial Revolution, the biggest and fastest in history. And it led, after China's ascension to the World Trade Organization, to that extraordinary financial symbiosis, which Moritz Schularik and I christened Chimerica in 2007. How did relations between Beijing and Washington sour so quickly that even Kissinger now speaks of Cold War? The conventional answer to that question is that President Donald Trump has swung like a wrecking ball into the liberal international order. And that Cold War II. And that Cold War II is only one of the adverse consequences of his America First strategy. Yet, that view attaches too much importance to the change in U.S. foreign policy since 2016 and not enough in the change in Chinese foreign policy that came 4 years earlier, when Xi Jinping became General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party. Future historians will discern that the decline and fall of Chimerica began in the wake of the global financial crisis, as a new Chinese leader drew the conclusions that there was no longer any need to hide the light of China's ambition under the bushel of Deng Xiaoping had famously recommended. When Middle America voted for Trump 4 years ago, it was partly a backlash against the asymmetric payoffs of engagement and its economic corollary, globalization. Not only had the economic benefit of Chimerica gone disproportionately to China, not only had its costs been borne disproportionately by working class Americans, but now those same Americans saw that their elected leaders in Washington had acted as midwives at the birth of a new strategic superpower, a challenger for global predominance even more formidable because economically stronger than the Soviet Union. It is not only Kissinger who recognizes that the relationship between Beijing has soured. Orville Schell, another longtime believer in engagement, recently conceded that the approach had foundered, quote, because of the CCP's deep ambivalence about the way engaging in a truly meaningful way might lead to demands for more reform and change and its ultimate demise. Conservative critics of engagement, meanwhile, are eager to dance on its grave, urging that the People's Republic of economically quarantined, its role in global supply chains drastically reduced. There is a spring in the step of more xenophobic members of the Trump administration, notably Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Deputy National Advisor Matt Pottinger, and Trade Advisor Peter Navarro. For the past 3.5 years, they have been arguing that the single most important thing about Trump's presidency was that he had changed the course of U.S. policy towards China, a shift from engagement to competition spelled out in the 2017 National Security Strategy. The events of 2020 would seem to have vindicated them. The COVID-19 pandemic has done more than intensify Cold War II. It has revealed its existence to those who last year doubted it. The Chinese Communist Party caused this disaster, first by covering up how dangerous this new virus SARS-CoV-2 was, then by delaying the measures that might have prevented its worldwide spread. Yet now China wants to claim the credit for saving the world from the crisis it caused. Liberally exporting cheap and not wholly reliable ventilators, testing kits, and face masks, the Chinese government has sought to snatch victory from the jaws of a defeat it inflicted. The deputy director of the Chinese Foreign Ministry's Information Department has gone so far as to endorse a conspiracy theory that the coronavirus originated in the U.S. and retweet an article claiming that an American team had brought the virus with them when they participated in the World Military Games in Wuhan last October. Yeah, tweeting is definitely part of the Cold War here. Just as implausible for Chinese claims, super cold. Just as implausible are Chinese claims that the U.S. is somehow behind the recurrent waves of pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. The current confrontation over the former British colony's status unambiguously made in China. As Pompeo has said, the new national security law Beijing imposed on Hong Kong last Tuesday effectively destroys the territory's semi-autonomy and tears up the 1984 Sino-British Joint Declaration, which guaranteed that Hong Kong would retain its own legal system for 50 years after its handover to People's Republic in 1997. This is a long article. In this context, it is not really surprising that American public sentiment towards China had become markedly more hawkish since 2017, especially among older voters. China is one of the few subjects these days about which there is genuine bipartisan consensus. There is a sign of the times that Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden's campaign clearly intends to portray their man as more hawkish on China than Trump. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton's new memoir is grist to their mill. On Hong Kong, Nancy Pelosi and Democratic Speaker of the House is every bit as indignant as Pompeo, at least publicly. I have urged that the new Cold War is both inevitable and desirable, not least because it has jolted the U.S. out of complacency and into an earnest effort not to be surpassed by China in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and other strategically crucial technologies. Yet there remains in academia specifically, or especially, significant resistance to my view that we should stop worrying and learn to love Cold War II. This guy wants to love Cold War II at a forum last week on World Order after COVID-19. Woo! Organized by the Kissinger Center for Global Affairs at Johns Hopkins University. Woo! A clear majority of speakers warned of the perils of a new Cold War. Eric Schmidt, the former chairman of Google, argued instead for a quote.
It's like the Avengers of the New World Order.
No, it's crazy. Eric Schmidt, the former chairman of Google, now Alphabet, argued instead for a quote, rivalry partnership model of co-opetition. Oh my gosh.
Great. Typo alert.
It's not even a typo. It's him trying to be like, instead of cooperation or competition, it's a co-opetition. We're cooperating in competition is what he's trying to say, in which the two nations would at once compete and cooperate in the way that Samsung and Apple had done for years, of course. Harvard's Graham Allison, the author of the best-selling Destined for War, Can America and China Escape Thucydides' Trap, agreed, giving as another example of the 11th century frenemy between the Song Emperor of China and the Liao Kingdom of China's northern border. The pandemic, Allison argued, has made incandescent the impossibility of identifying China clearly as either foe or friend. Rivalry partnership may sound complicated, but life is complicated. Quote, this continued quote, the establishment of a productive and predictable U.S.-China relationship, wrote John Lipsky, I guess a different quote, formerly of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, quote, is a sine qua non for strengthening the institutions of global governance. The last Cold War had cast a shadow of a global holocaust for decades, observed James Steinberg, former Deputy Secretary of State. Quote, what can be done to create a context to limit the rivalry and create space for cooperation? Elizabeth Economy, my colleague at the Hoover Institution, had an answer. Her name is Elizabeth Economy. That is amazing. That is just incredible. Quote, the U.S. and China could partner to address a global challenge, namely climate change.
Oh, classic.
Tom Wright of the Brookings Institute took a similar line, quote, focusing only on great power competition while ignoring the need for cooperation will not actually give the United States an enduring strategic advantage over China, said the Chino communist. That's my little extra commentary there. All this sounds eminently reasonable, apart from one thing. The Chinese Communist Party isn't Samsung, much less the Liao Kingdom. Rather, As was true in Cold War I, especially after 1968, academics tended to be doves rather than hawks. Today's proponents of rivalry partnership are overlooking the possibility that the Chinese aren't interested in being frenemies. They know full well this is a Cold War because they started it. To be sure, there are also Chinese scholars who lament the passing of engagement. The economist Yu Yongding recently joined Kevin Gallagher of Boston University to argue for reconciliation between Washington and Beijing. Yet that is no longer the official view in Beijing. When I first began talking publicly about Cold War II at conferences last year, I was surprised that no Chinese delegates contradicted me. In September, I asked one of them, the Chinese head of major international institution, why that was. Quote, "Because I agreed with you," he replied with a smile. As a visiting professor at Tsinghua University in Beijing, I have never for myself the ideological turning of the tide under Z. Academics who study taboo subjects such as the Cultural Revolution find themselves subject to investigations or worse. Those who take a more combative stance towards the West get promoted. Yet, Zui Tong, dean of the Institute of International Relations in Tsinghua, recently argued that Cold War II, unlike Cold War I, will be purely technological competition without proxy wars and nuclear brinkmanship. Yao Yang, dean of the National School of Development at Peking University, was equally candid in an interview with the Beijing Cultural Review, published on April 28th. Quote, "To a certain degree, we already find ourselves in the situation of a new Cold War," he said. "There are two basic reasons for this. The first is the need for Western politicians to play the blame game about the origins of the pandemic. The next thing," he added, "is that now Westerners want to make this into a systems question, saying that the reason that China could carry out such drastic control measures in Hubei province is because China is not a democratic society. And this is where the power and capacity to do this came from. This, however, is weak beer compared with the hard stuff regularly served up on Twitter by the pack leader of the Wolf Warrior diplomats Zhao Lijian. The Hong Kong Authority Act, quote, "The Hong Kong Autonomy Act passed by the U.S. Senate is nothing but a piece of scrap paper," he tweeted on Monday, in response to the congressional retaliation against China's new Hong Kong security law. By his standard, this was understatement. The tone of the official Chinese communique released after Pompeo's June 17 meeting in Hawaii with Yang Jiechi, the director of the Communist Party's Office of Foreign Affairs, was vintage Cold War. On the persecution of the Uyghurs, for example, it called on, quote, "the U.S. side to respect China's counterterrorism and de-radicalization efforts, stop applying double standards on counterterrorism issues, and stop using Xinjiang-related issues as a pretext to interfere in China's international affairs." And this old shrillness, so reminiscent of the Mao Zedong era, is now reserved for the U.S. alone. The Chinese government lashed out at any country that had the temerity to criticize it, from Australia, quote, "gumstruck to the bottom of China's shoe," according to the editor of the party-controlled Global Times, in India to the UK. Those who hope to revive engagement or at least establish frenemy with Beijing underestimate the influence of Wang Huning, a member of the 2017 of the Standing Committee of the Politburo, the most powerful body in China and Xi's most influential advisor. Back in August 1998, Wang spent 6 months in the U.S. as a visiting scholar, traveling to more than 30 cities and nearly 20 universities. His account of that trip, quote, "America Against America," published in 1991, is a critique and places scathing of American democracy, capitalism, and culture. Racial division features prominently in the third chapter, which really makes sense of what we're dealing with here now. Yet the book has done the most to educate me about how China views America and the world today. As I said, not a political text, but a work of science fiction. The Dark Forest was Liu Cixing's 2008 sequel to the hugely successful Three-Body Problem. It would be hard to overstate Liu's influence on contemporary China. He is revered by the Shenzhen and Hangzhou tech companies, and was officially endorsed as one of the faces of 21st century Chinese creativity by none other than Wang Huning. The Dark Forest, which continues the story of the invasion of Earth by the ruthless and technologically superior Trisolarans, introduces Liu's 3 axioms for cosmic sociology. First, survival of the primary need of civilization. Second, civilization continuously grows and expands, but the total matter in the universe remains constant. Third, chain of suspicion and the risk of technological explosion in another civilization mean that in space there can only be the law of the jungle. In the words of the book hero Lu Jing, quote, "The universe is a dark forest. Every civilization is an armed hunter stalking through the trees like a ghost, trying to tread without sound. The hunter has to be careful because everywhere in the forest are stealthy hunters like him."
Wow.
In
this
his
article keeps dipping it. It's hard to follow. It dips into geopolitics and then dips into metaphor.
Science fiction metaphor, yeah. If he finds other life, another hunter, an angel or demon, a delicate infant or a tottering old man, a fairy or a demigod, there's only one thing he can do: open fire and eliminate them. Uh-oh. In this forest, hell is other people. Ooh. Any life that exposes its own existence will be swiftly wiped out. Kissinger is often thought, in my view wrongly, as the supreme American exponent of realpolitik. But this is something much harsher than realism. It is intergalactic Darwinism. Of course, you may say it's just sci-fi. Yes, but the Dark Forest gives us an insight into something we think too little about: how Xi's China thinks. It's not up to us whether or not we have a Cold War with China, if China has already declared Cold War on us. Not only are we in the foothills of that new Cold War, those foothills are also impenetrably covered in a dark forest of China's devising.
Ooh.
Well, that was long, but I think it's
it was that. But yeah, so I mean, long story short is, they're explaining the history and the historicity of the actual kind of Cold War that we're having with China, an economic Cold War that actually China is leading in, it sounds like.
Well, yeah, that they're actually, it's kind of hard to say. Well, yeah, you can't have a cooperation or any kind of diplomacy when China's already in that offensive state of starting this Cold War with the United States.
Yeah,
and I would say it's been an like I mentioned in the last episode, it's been an infiltration, a long-term infiltration,
right?
And it's almost like we just, with the Trump presidency, a lot of Americans started to do something about it, and so we're pretty late on the uptick. We're behind on the counter move, so to speak.
Well, and it's a matter of convenience. China has made a lot of things more convenient for the average person in America, and that's what's given them so much power, and they know it, and they want to use it, and that's kind of the problem. The battle that Americans are fighting now, and this stretches out to Amazon and all the tech companies, even as far as Google and Apple and Android smartphone companies, things like that. It's all a matter of convenience. They created platforms, whether it be hardware or search engines or shopping platforms, that are too convenient for Americans to choose any other option. And with every convenient option that we choose, we give more power to foreign powers. So it really is a self-defeating thing. That was another conversation that I was having with the normies over the weekend. Was it's not that cool that Jeff Bezos is so rich and has to ask for donations to pay his employees, but it's because he created such a convenient shopping platform that we do it to ourselves. It's a self-destructive drive that we as Americans, and I would say just sort of commercialism and consumerism in general is I want the most for the cheapest at the most convenient. And we're in a place where that attitude has given a lot of power to foreign powers. And of course, those foreign powers are going to wield it and use it to take more control. And that's where we're at with China. So, it's about little small, we can put as many guillotines outside of Jeff Bezos's house as we want. But with every convenient choice we make, each individual citizen of the United States is handing power over to other countries. And so that's where the real change needs to happen before anything else can happen.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
For
Okay,
sure.
well, let's talk about some more Chinese news, baby.
Welcome to Chinese News!
Okie dokie. I'm over here at the Hindustan Times. That reports, I think it's an Indian outlet here, and they report China reports suspected case of Black Death plague. All you need to know. That's right. 2020 continues. Remember, it's still 2020, folks. Anything can happen. Yeah, authorities in the city of China's Inner Mongolia issued a warning on Sunday, a day after a hospital reported a case of suspected bubonic plague.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, the real deal. Finally, a real pandemic we can sink our teeth into.
Yeah, serious.
Sunday's warning follows 4 reported cases of plague in people from Inner Mongolia last November, including 2 of the deadlier variant of the plague, pneumonic plague. Pneumonic plague. The bubonic plague, known as the Black Death in the Middle Ages, is a highly infectious and often fatal disease that is spread mostly by rodents.
I wonder if we're going to cancel that phrase, Like, hey, no, it's not the Black Death.
Black Death, yeah. Oh, geez.
It's something else.
And we didn't have any stories. We'll get some stories on Wednesday about the black militias rising up. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But it is 2020, and the reason I'm putting this in here is because I don't know if I want to go on record or not, but this is how we read the first coronavirus articles in China. Oh my gosh, of course they have a disease over there. It'll never come here. And so now I'm reading this about the bubonic plague in China. I'm like, uh-oh. This is exactly what we need. Continuing, plague is an infectious disease caused by Yersinia pestis, a zoonotic bacteria usually found in small mammals and their fleas, says the World Health Organization. People can contract plague if they are bitten by infected fleas and develop bubonic form of plague. And I actually just learned recently the bubonic term has to do with little clusters of bacteria, like little, almost like little tumors, kind of. So
are these genetically modified Nephilim fleas too?
No, they were fresh, organic, interdimensional Nephilim fleas.
Oh.
These were not, these didn't come from CERN. They came straight from the pit. People can contract plague if they are bitten by infected fleas and develop the bubonic form of plague. Sometimes bubonic plague progresses to pneumonic plague when the bacteria reaches the lungs. According to WHO, bubonic plague is the most common form of plague and is caused by the bite of an infected flea. It says plague bacillus, Y. pestis, enters at the bite and travels through a lymphatic system to the nearest lymph node where it replicates itself. The lymph node then becomes inflamed, tense, and painful and is called bubo. Another fun thing about bubonic plague, the fleas suffer as well. So the fleas get this bacteria and then they bite into you and they try sucking your blood so bad, but all their guts are clogged up with this bacteria gunk. And so they can't swallow your blood. And so they puke into you and go off and look for something else to eat. They eventually die, but it's tick puke. that causes plague. Just trying to show off how much I know about plague.
Yeah, you read a textbook before.
I did. Yes, I recently, actually, strangely, unrelated to this story, I was learning about plague. At advanced stages of the infection, the inflamed lymph nodes can turn into open sores filled with pus. Human-to-human transmission of bubonic plague is rare. Bubonic plague is the most common form of the plague, but cannot be easily transmitted between people. Some people with bubonic plague will develop pneumonic plague. Pneumonic plague, or lung-based plague, is the most virulent form of plague and has an incubation period as short as 24 hours. A person with pneumonic plague may transmit the disease to others through coughing via droplets.
It's not the bubonic plague that we're scared of. It's the pneumonic one.
The pneumonic plague you got to watch out for. Bubonic plague has a mortality rate of 30 to 60%, while the pneumonic form is fatal in the absence of treatment. Both types have good recovery rates if people are treated in time. Pneumonic plague, if not diagnosed and treated early, can be fatal. However, recovery rates are high if detected and treated in time, within 24 hours of the onset of symptoms. And then they just kind of talk more about the technical details of this plague. How are people infected? Can there be human to human? What are the symptoms? How is plague treated? Can dead bodies spread plague? When has this happened in the past? We all know the answers to all that. There are 3,248 cases worldwide, leading to 584 deaths, a fatality rate of 18% between 2010 and 2015, according to the WHO. So right now, coronavirus is sitting at 0.6%. 0.6% last time I checked.
If you believe the numbers.
Yeah, well, of course, those numbers are always changing too, but still 0.6 is fairly benign as far in comparison to this bubonic plague, which is 18% death. So there you go. I don't know. You heard it here first, folks. Don't be surprised if you start hearing about bubonic plague coming across.
It's going to push the shutdown, the masks, the whole deal even more, because it says here that where was it? It had something transmission is possible through the inhalation of infected respiratory droplets of a person.
Mm-hmm.
So you can
wear your masks.
Wear your masks. Yeah.
Wear the masks. All right. Tell me about the Chinese banks.
Welcome to Chinese News!
$100 billion.
I don't have any money.
If the bubonic plague and the Cold War II isn't enough, finance.yahoo.com, China province orders new checks on big cash transactions after bank runs. China has launched a pilot program in the northern province of Hebei, requiring the public to apply for approval if they plan to make large cash deposits or withdrawals at commercial banks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. The regulation comes after a series of bank runs in the past year at debt-laden small lenders. It has an unprecedented pandemic-related economic contraction starts to take a toll. From July 1st, residents in the province will need to provide information about the source of deposits from the purpose of withdrawals for transactions over 100,000 yuan. That's $14,000 for individuals, and 500,000 yuan for corporations. The state-backed China Securities Journal reported last week. Applicants will have to give 1 day's notice to the bank to make a withdrawal of this size or larger and gain the branch's approval of the registration information, the report says. And it kind of just gets into it here. The regulation mainly targeted transactions conducted with physical cash through quick self-service deposits and withdrawal equipment that avoided monitoring, the journal reported. But yeah, that's
run on the banks, baby.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the mark of the beast and how it's you can't buy or sell without the mark.
Yeah.
This is getting close when banks require you to have a approval process to access or to use your money.
Yeah, you have to put in an application to withdraw money from your bank.
And this is your own money, your hard-earned money. This is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Buy Bitcoin.
Buy Bitcoin.
I mean, it is one way to get around this type of thing. I'm not saying that it's a solution, but it is one way to move your money around and to store its value and whatnot. So that's, if it wasn't enough with all this other stuff in China, now you got people in China cracking down on this stuff. There's another, just real quickly, AsiaNikkei.com. China targets 38 bank shareholders in industry fraud crackdown. And you got to subscribe to this article to read it, so I won't. But investors accused of improper lending and fund diversion as loan books weaken. And this is, great. All during I think the Chinese stock markets were pumping today. So people trying to get out. Exit scam, maybe.
I know.
In China, too, as they
Bitcoin
print more
to the
money.
moon, baby.
I know.
All right, Gons.
This is a really long live stream.
Yeah,
really long time.
Well, we're getting ready. We gotta put out the landing gear here.
I know.
And there's no better way to do that than with a Nephilim update.
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
This is CBR.com. Winona Earp, where we left the demon killer and her allies. Do you know about Winona Earp?
I think it's Earp, but no.
Earp.
I don't know about Winona Earp.
Okay. Well, it's EARP, so ear and then Earp.
Okay.
Winona Earp's third season was full of twists and turns, and even every victory demanded tremendous sacrifice. Each main player in the series dealt with their own bit of trauma, leaving their mindsets going into season 4 a bit all over the place. So, with Winona Earp returning to its 4th season at the end of July, it's time for a brief recap of where the third season left the main characters of this sci-fi series. What now?
I said I don't want it.
Okay, well, I won't go through the whole deal here. We'll just get to the main point here. Winona lost the treasured family gun, but managed to emerge as a victor, claiming the title of Savior of Heaven.
Oh, no.
Winona. Dying Bushler poisoned Winona, yet she got a second chance at life when Doc intervened. Her victory over the enemies was short-lived, and she was left with no sister, her closest friend, left on a quest to save Waverly, and Winona herself has a mysteriously empty town to deal with. Basically, where's the... hold on. There's more here. Basically, the season finale took away everything that gentled Winona's edge and left her with anger and single-minded drive, which might spell a rough start to the upcoming season. And where's the main part here? I'm trying to find the main line. Hold on, I gotta do a word search.
Hold on.
No. Sorry. Here it is. But not all went according to plan, and the father-daughter reunion was cut short, and Waverly had to witness her father dying again. However, this spurred her to embrace her destiny as a Nephilim.
Oh, there it is.
And name Winona as the savior who can wield the flaming sword.
Uh-oh.
The cooperation between sisters killed Bullshar, but Waverly was taken by a plant-like being as she pleads for her sister to save her, ending the season in dire note.
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
Sounds like Nephilim are becoming a common TV trope nowadays.
Well, just any science fiction is Nephilim and also Savior of Heaven.
Yeah, they're not as creative as they used to be.
Not creative and definitely not subtle.
Yeah.
With their
all right, folks. Well, there you
tropes.
go. Thanks for tuning in. All right, this was kind of a long one. So remember, now here's the thing. I saw some people came in late. If you want to catch the rest of the show, you can always rewatch the stream on Canary Cry Radio YouTube, Face Like the Sun YouTube, or twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. But remember, we put out the podcast version, which is audio only, and you get that crystal clear, non-interrupted sound quality. And the best way to do that is to just search for Canary Cry News Talk on any podcatcher. I think we're on almost all of them. And it's a great way to go. Subscribe. It's always there. Even if the live stream if there's a live stream emergency or we finally get kicked off of everything, you can always find the podcast version on your podcatcher. So make sure to do that. And remember, we're going to be back on Wednesday, somewhere in the afternoon, probably around 1 p.m. PST. So make sure to turn on your notifications on Twitch or YouTube or wherever you're watching. And that's a great way to catch the show. Don't miss it, because we're going to be doing a full show that day, and it's going to be great. And now, remember, you can also become a producer. This show, we had quite a stretch in between 2 episodes, so we had a nice chance to, let some producers roll in. But if you are not yet a producer of the show, please consider supporting the show. It's a value in, value out proposition. We do not sell your attention for ads. We don't believe in participating in that brainwashing exercise. However, we have gotten a lot of opportunities in the past, but nay, we believe in our listeners to become producers and take part in the creation of this show. So that could be you. Get some ownership, and you can, put it on your LinkedIn or something that you're a producer for the best podcast you've ever heard.
You get credits on your CV.
Yeah, put it on your CV. There you go. We'll vouch for you, especially if you're on in the Knights and Dames list. You're on the website, so you can just give people the link there. So, in order to do that, remember us at patreon.com/ccnt. That's patreon.com/ccnt. But if you don't like Patreon, you can head to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. And there you can sign up with PayPal, do a recurring support amount, or if commitment's not your thing, just do a one-time, I'm trying not to say donation, but a one-time producership as well. Over there, as well as cryptocurrency. It's a good time. Yeah. We got everything you want to do.
Which, by the way, I totally forgot to mention during that last segment when we went over the producers, that somebody sent us some Dash tokens.
Thank you very much for the Dash tokens.
0.06 Dash.
Okay. Thank you very much. Coin. And of course, cryptocurrency donations are anonymous unless you send us an email. So keep that in mind. But thank you very much. Remember us. We'll be back in 2 days, folks. So you got 2 days to jump on the producer list there. And there's other ways to support the show. One of them is by leaving ratings and reviews. That's it's sort of understated. A lot of people don't really fully grasp how helpful it is to leave ratings and reviews. Shoot. I keep talking about how I'm going to read. There's some really great, funny reviews that I want to read on the show. We'll save it for next show. Dang it. Sorry. Okay. But leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Spotify, wherever you listen to the show. And that helps tell the algos to share the show with other people. And even more so, a great way to support the show is just to tell your friends and family about it. You got family, you got friends, they're starting to wake up, they're starting to see that things are not adding up in the world. And a great way to help them through that process is to simply send them an episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Word of mouth is a great way to spread the show, grow the show, but B, give people an introduction into what's going on in the world, show them that they're not alone, and that, in our case, everything we talk about is in the mainstream media. All it takes is reading it, having it presented to you, and analyzed live here on the show. So go ahead and share an episode with somebody. And here's the thing. What we do is we call that rattling somebody's cage. And here's how you do it. You'll walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. And remember, you can also become a producer of the show by creating pieces of artwork, whether that be, we've got comic book covers, we've got illustrations, something that's related to the show or the topics that we talk about. You can send that artwork to canarycryradio@gmail.com. You can also help out by creating jingles and songs. We got some great songs at the end with the Canary Cry mixtape, so stick around, listen to that. And jingles, if you are a sound person, you can do a little bit of editing, you're creative, make a jingle for something we talk about on the show. And again, send those to canarycryradio@gmail.com. We'll play them on the show, give a shout out, get some producer credits for you. Okay, everybody, remember, we will be back this Wednesday. Make sure to tune in. But until then, remember to think outside the cage.
It's gotta be biblical.
Look it up.
It will kill.
Shake things up, shake things up. I wanna shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I wanna stir up some controversy. I wanna rattle a few cages. I wanna rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
You are entering a dimension of sound. You carefully come in through the threshold with wonder, yet skepticism. You see the faint shape of an outline of a robot arm petting a cat. You faintly hear the haunting sounds of a man playing a tambourine. The sound augments into two men playing with a soundboard. You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Stay a while and listen. And now, where Nephilim news meets biblical views, you'll find broken memes and shattered dreams. Give it up for Basil and Gaz.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.
Before it is too late.
It will kill.
Look it up.
Science is truth.
Make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo.
We should invite fewer people to be born.